everyone, I'm Catherine, aka the High Hill Gamer, and today I am so excited and honored to host Bigfoot Knows Karate Director's Commentary. Let's go around and introduce everyone.
All right. Hi, my name is Dan Price. I am the creator, co-writer, and artist of Bigfoot Knows Karate. Thank you all so much for coming and watching this today. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And hopefully this can be a lot of fun and not a fucking train wreck. Casey, over to you, buddy.
Hey, everybody. I'm Casey, and I co-write and help to edit this thing. So, hey.
Dennis, Kenric, you want to jump in?
I'll go next. My name is Kenric. I am the co-founder, co-host of the Spoiler Country podcast, found everywhere. And I'll kick it over to Dennis.
I'm Dennis Valencia. I am the artist and creator at DR Valencia Designs. I have my own independent creation, the Celestial Knight for Slate Comics, also an artist at Feral Creative Studios, and an artist for the Indian community as a whole. That's how I came to know Dan.
We thank you guys all so much for being here. I'm super excited. The director's commentary is something that I actually am looking forward to as a big fan of Bigfoot Knows Karate. So there's a lot of little things I kind of want to get to the bottom of. So let's rip off this Band-Aid. Let's go.
All right.
Well, first off, I want to ask, why Bigfoot? Why not like Nessie or a Yeti? Why Bigfoot?
Nessie knows karate.
Yeah, I think Nessie knowing karate would be like just anatomically odd, personally.
Flipper chop.
Yeah, it's just all flipper, baby, chop. You know, I don't know. I don't think it would work so hot. But Bigfoot, I don't know. Bigfoot's so human in his way, and probably the most humanoid of all the cryptids. And so it was easier to give him those type of emotions and thought processes. I think he was more relatable than doing, you know, Chupacabra or, you know, Jersey Devil or Mothman or something like that. Plus it just sounds great in the title. I mean, come on, it's just a fun title to boot. So it just worked well. Nessie knows karate, you know, Chupacabra knows karate. I don't know. I don't see it. But you know, I think we've talked about this, Casey, in the podcast, but the sequel is going to be Bigfoot Knows Pilates. That's when he's when he's retired, right? Okay, so we're out in Ojai.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like nobody cared about Bigfoot until he put on the gi. If he were Bigfoot knows needlepoint, nobody gives a shit about that. Bigfoot knows baking. No. There's so many baking shows on TV already. It's already saturated with Food Network shows, chop challenges, all that crap.
I don't know.
People want Bigfoot doing
with
karate.
Snoop and Martha Stewart might be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Bigfoot Iron Chef. That's all I'm saying. So.
I'm trademarking all of this. 100%.
That's awesome.
So when Dan, you approached Casey with the idea, correct?
Yeah. So I've been working on the comic. I'm working on the concept for years, and really in 2018 started drawing it on Instagram. And Casey over here saw what I was doing, and we had already become friends through the Comic Jam. And he was like, "When are you going to get off your ass and do something with this?" And he was the mastermind of Kung Fu Thulu. And so when it came time to do the comic, and I mean, he said, I'll edit for you. And I was like, thank you. And, you know, I'm used to doing these one shot, stupid dick and fart joke comic books with a dude wearing a rubber on his head fighting crime. So I'm not used to this big cinematic concept. And Casey, you know, I mean, he's just a man. So thank you, Casey. And, he's just a man. And so I brought him this Bible of shit, you know, I said, here you go. And he looked through it, and, you know, I said, why don't you co-write? He agreed to come on board and put it all together. I mean, really, he paced that book out and really, you know, added, you know, the fight scene itself. I mean, that's so much as Casey, you know, and his brilliant ideas. I mean, so it's a lot of fun, and I'm really eager to see what we come up with in issue 2, because I mean, I gave him, you know, the 2 through 5. This is kind of where we're going, but you know, it's like releasing the Kraken, so to speak, because Casey's going to be able to really get his hands dirty with issue 2. So stoked for that.
I'm having a lot of fun on it so far.
So Casey, when he approached you with it, you did the artwork for it, correct?
Oh no, that's all Dan. So Dan
Ah,
did the art in the he co-wrote, he came up with the concept.
got it.
My initial idea was just to come in and edit and kind of help like not steer the ship so much as kind of give direction, like
Mhm.
we're going west, you need to go
Keep
west.
it like on track, you mean?
Yeah, keep everything going. And initially I wasn't expecting like him to have a whole lot planned. So when he did send me
You
the
thought I was some
file that had
typical artist who just I was like, I got this idea, and figure it out, writer boy, kind of thing. Is that what you expected from
You
me?
got like this conspiracy theory board. Like, I kind of need all this to go together, but I don't
Oh,
know.
I would be terrified to see his red yarn room, because I'm sure he has one somewhere in Austin, and there's just red yarn strewn up all across the
Everywhere.
walls with pictures of different cryptids and conspiracy theories.
It's
But
right next to my soundproof kill room. It's cool. So
exactly.
don't worry.
So yeah, he sent me this file, and it was pretty comprehensive. And early on, I had kind of made a comment to him like, hey man, if you're gonna have a Bigfoot doing karate, you need to have an adversary who is also a cryptid. And I just like spouting bullshit off the top of my head, I was like, how about a Kung Fu Thulu? And like within like a few hours in my inbox, there was this badass character he had designed off of my goofy pun of a name. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, we're running with that. That's amazing.
I mean, usually that's how great ideas usually start off, right? Like it's like something said in passing or as a joke, and next thing you know, somebody else grabs that and they're like, "Ta-da! Look what I did!"
Some jackass says something, and then gold happens. Which, yeah, I'm the jackass. I will gladly claim that.
But what a jackass, dude. So,
What a
I mean, it was a
jackass.
great,
You're
it was a
amazing.
great idea. It was
He's incredible.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Kung Fu Thulu, that makes so much sense to go against Bigfoot knowing karate. It's hilarious.
And
Perfect.
he's such a fun character to write that I'm like, we gotta kill him. Do we gotta kill him? And you'll find out. Like I literally cannot wait for everybody. You guys have read it, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So you guys kind of know what's
Mhm.
going on. Shit gets crazy. And hopefully by now, by the time the people watching this have seen it, they have also maybe.
Yeah, are we worried about spoilers on this?
I asked the same question.
So I feel like we're going to talk through. We haven't been able to talk about this plot at all.
It's
Okay,
TV
we've locked
commentary,
it
right?
down. We've locked it down. So this is the opportunity for us to talk through the book, and we're gonna,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, spoil it away because
Okay.
as you've read it. Let's talk about it comprehensively. We'll go through the book through
Yeah.
page by page, and just we can talk creative, but I really want to get into the story because, frankly, I can speak for Casey too. We're eager to talk about the damn thing.
Yeah,
I haven't been
yeah.
able to say shit about this, so let's go to town. I mean,
So
seriously.
Kendrick, since you brought it up, what were some of your favorite moments throughout the first book?
It's the little things that I caught that I messaged Casey on. And I don't know if I want to say the biggest thing to me, but I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it and you can edit it out later. Is I noticed that the guy says it's a Cthulhu, not the Cthulhu. And I was like, oh, smart. So that means we're going to get some more Kung Fu Thulu throughout the storyline, or at least variations thereof. So I'm excited for that. Because I love the Lovecraft mythos.
Mhm.
So I thought it was cool to bring him in like this, and then to kind of make it more of a cryptid than an elder thing, and then go through that. So it was cool. It was a nice twist, and it was in to write it in a way that if you're not paying attention, you're gonna skip right over it.
Yeah.
But I was like,
So no, for me, like I completely get it because the first time I've read it twice already. The first time I read it, it just was shoo, over my head. The second time, because I was going in for like, oh, let me see what I can find in each panel and each word, and I noticed it, and I was like, wait a second, Is that,
Yeah.
is that what I think it means? Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Like, because sometimes you read these comics and you're like, did I overthink this part? Like, is something as simple as a Cthulhu, and
Right.
you're just like, am I digging too deep? Am I conspiracy theory now? Like, you know what I mean? So I'm glad that you caught that too. Because I was like,
Casey is a great wordsmith. I've known Casey for quite a few years now. We go over a lot of things. Casey actually helps me on my podcast. He's he's really one of the founders of it. When we started, Casey was the second day of us releasing it, we had maybe 2 downloads, and Casey was one of them because he reached out and said, "Hey, I love what you guys did," and he's been a part of it literally been a part of it ever since.
thanks.
We're talking since 2017 and going. So Casey's a wordsmith. So when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, I know this guy. He's going to go deep at some point somewhere." Because he's got some really cool stuff out there. So I was really surprised. And then we talked about that very first scene as well, and the killing of the wolf, which I had a problem with. I'm going to be honest. I had a real problem with the killing of the wolf at first, because to me, if Bigfoot is Zen, he wouldn't be killing the wolf. Because all I was thinking about was, well, now these fucking rabbits are going to be everywhere. Because the wolves keep the rabbits in check.
I'm glad you picked up on that, and it is definitely going to play into his arc. I don't want to get too deep into it because that's like books away, but like,
but you did tell me, don't worry.
He's isolated himself to be the ideal of like one with nature, one with everything. And if you're truly one with nature, are you going to destroy something that is naturally occurring?
Yeah.
You see, for me, I took that as the whole hunt or be hunted type of thing. Like, you're protecting the little animals and they're going to be hunted. So, sometimes you got to break that Zen moment and have your time to attack. You know what I mean? But I get what you're saying with that, Kenric. But for me, I was just like, you're damn right. Save the rabbits. Like, I was like, I'd kill a wolf too.
So,
sorry.
Well, no. I just think that, the theme of the first issue is hunter prey. And we play with the concept that you can be a hunter or prey at any given time, given your situation. And one of the things, and we can put the book on screen since we're kind of getting into it deep. And Dennis, jump in anytime, man, please.
Let me go into at least the first part. It's funny you guys centered on the wolf. It did surprise me too that the wolf was killed. It kind of took me back. Just to set it up, I texted Dan right before I started reading it. I said, I need a soundtrack. He gave me Tom Waits' Going Out West. Dude, put it on, grabbed a beer, sat in front of my fireplace. Let's go. Started it off. And this is the only thing I know about Dan. I've known him since March, Dan, not a long time.
No.
I know Dan from Latex Avenger. So I know you're writing from Latex Avenger. That's what I was expecting. And I know you have a quip for everything. You got a line for everything. You got a comment for everything. I didn't expect the first page. It took me back. To your point, Kenric, on the wolf, I was centered on the rabbit. So in Asian lore, a rabbit is luck. A rabbit is loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, was Dan going for that? And then as I read the story, the rabbit's with him. Loyal is luck. And I was like, this is genius. Again, cool. Not to, Dan, that I didn't expect it from you. But was expecting Latex Avenger and fart jokes and dick jokes and all that. But you did get me with Cthulhu with the little prick. I was like, nice. That was like, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That was like.
And I was actually going to ask Dennis, because he is an artist himself, what did he think about this art style? Because for me, not so much like critique it or anything like that. It's just the uniqueness of it. Because I'm not like a super comic book reader, so I haven't seen every art style that there is out there. But for me, this was definitely very unique, very different, and it definitely caught my eye. And I wanted for you to speak a little bit on it as another artist appreciating an artist.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things too. I'm a 90s artist, so I draw a lot from the image crowd. So it's just a lot of muscles and latex and all that. Dan's is more, it's just such a great change. It's a great change of pace. It's so unique. His color palette was fantastic. Even from the borders on, the color palette was just calm. When you talk about meditation and soothing and being Zen-like, the colors, you didn't even have to read that. You could literally, if you took the words off the page, you felt it from the colors and the art. I thought was fantastic. The action scenes where he broke panel, where he had brighter colors, more impact. I mean, that stuff to me as an artist is like, he knows what he's doing. Like, there was so much professionalism. Not that I didn't expect it, Dan, but it was just so obvious on the page. Like, nailed it.
Dennis, you know what it gave me vibes of is Eric Powell. It gave me Eric Powell vibes.
Okay, yeah, totally. Gooning it.
Yeah,
Nice.
Goon, Hillbilly.
Yep.
It just kind of gave me that. And there's a artist, I can't remember his name, but it's on the Albatross press for Vietnam Werewolf or Werewolf in Vietnam. What was the name of that?
What is it? Viet Wolf?
Viet Wolf or something like that.
Nam Wolf.
Yeah, the color choices kind of reminded me of that a lot. It was great. I mean, Dan, the colors and the art pops, man. It looks great. It looks fantastic.
It is such a departure from anything I have ever done. I mean,
oh, really?
Oh, this is so different. You know, the art style kind of came from two places. I did some interiors for Drew Edwards' Halloween Man, and he asked me what kind of story I wanted to do, and I said I want to do something gritty. I want to do something nasty. I want to do something horrific, and you know, and Halloween Man borders on horrific and comedy depending on the issue and the tone of the story. And so he gave me something that to just really get my hand. I mean, it was a 5-page story, but it was something that I could really kind of develop a look for. So it was that Halloween Man issue, and then there was a children's book that I did for a lady in Colorado, where and it was about a grandmother and her dog and her cat, and they went on a picnic. And I'm not bullshitting you. And the backgrounds kind of came from that. And you know, but now I mean, obviously altered and changed, but like that kind of look, that brushy style. And I really wanted to bring some grunginess to the thing and organic. I didn't want it to be clean lines. I wanted the art to feel kinetic in a way that it was showing movement with my stiff ass drawings. You know what I mean? Because I always feel like my work's way too stiff. And
I actually have two. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you was done.
No. I mean, but it was there is like a fly just bothering me over here. I don't know if y'all can see him in the screen, but so
hey, real quick, Dan, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I gotta go, guys. I really want to appreciate you giving me this small opportunity to be a short time with you guys. I'm looking forward to listening to this later on because, like I said, the book's fantastic. If you're watching this and listening to this, that means you got this at the right time, and I can't wait to see what else comes out. Peace out.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Kenric.
Thank you so much. And then there were 4.
And then there were 4. I actually, once we get to it, there are 2 pages that I purposely wrote down that are like my favorite two art things that you did that I'm like, I love it. I'm not an artist. I just appreciate what I see. So when we get to those, I will let you know. But
should I go ahead and screen share, or are we at that?
Let's get into this book.
Yeah, and then let's see. Here we go. Okay, this is us, guys.
Yay!
Nice.
Yeah. All right. So I'll just kind of go ahead and cover, and then let's see. Hold on. Boom. Okay. So credits. And and then I want to just shout out Bonadami, and well, first of all, listen, Casey is incredible. Matt Skillern, who did the variant cover on the regular edition, my friend, he's incredible. Thank you, Matt, for doing that. And Adam Caswell, who did an amazing story did an amazing cover for us as well. Absolutely incredible work. In fact, hold on, I'm gonna stop my screen share. I'm sorry, I messed this whole thing up. Okay, here we go. So here we go. So Matt Skillern's was the black and white cover right here. I just can't get enough of it. I was so honored to have him do this piece. And then Adam Caswell did the piece on the right here. Absolutely gorgeous. I own both of these, and they will be framed in my living room or in my office here very soon. So yay.
Yeah, to speak to these black and whites, it is amazing when an artist can do just black and white and nothing gets lost in the art. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of
Mhm.
times things can blend in together. So to do a black and white where nothing is blended in and you can see what each character and what each piece has to do is kudos to them, because that's talent beyond my level.
I'm just blown away by their work. Absolutely amazing. So,
Mhm.
all right. So let me get back over here to the comic. All right. And this is us. So, all right. You guys want to go to page 1?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Yeah, that
And this
rabbit.
is what Dennis was talking about earlier. If you take away the wording, obviously you feel zen and at peace. I love that butterfly. By the way, that butterfly is like absolutely my favorite.
I'm a graphic designer, so I will prepare you guys for that. I use a lot of my graphic design thought process when I'm doing this, and so there's a lot of repeated graphics through here. So that butterfly, I think I maybe drew 2 butterflies, and I just cloned those all over the place. There's 3 trees that I drew for this, and all the rest of them are just clones of trees throughout.
Same,
the book.
Dan.
So,
I do the same.
okay, cool. Makes me feel better, man. Absolutely. So
That's actually a behind the scenes for me, because I always was like, God, how do artists just sit there and draw like 50 butterflies?
no.
Like what?
Oh, no.
Okay, got it. Copy and
Oh,
paste.
no.
Understood.
Exactly.
I am a victim of my technology and I will use it aptly. So yeah, but the Zen feeling, I mean, remember this is a Bigfoot. So if you're the isolated creature that has no interaction with the world, how do you cope with that? And I think our Bigfoot has found peace, and to a degree, but there's also this longing and loneliness that will appear from time to time. So you'll mention the rabbit and the wolf, and I think that regarding the luck concept, yes, and at the same time, there's also this need for a connection, and I think that in this feeling of rooting for the underdog and taking care of the unfortunate, and I think he views as we go through the pages, he'll view the rabbit as a victim almost, to be protected. So I mean, I'm just gonna but we throw you off the scent right off the beginning, and that was to kind of, I don't know, I mean, to prepare the audience that this is going to take some twists and turns. But I think, go ahead.
Yeah, so from the first page when I saw the rabbit, and you turn to the second page, and again, not knowing what to expect, I think as soon as I read the first page, I knew it wasn't going to be Latex Avenger-ish, put it that way. So
Right.
again, subverted expectations. As soon as I see the rabbit, I'm thinking Dan can go 2 ways before I even turn the page, and Casey too. So are you going to go like full Monty Python, something crazy on the next page where it's funny, it's going to be a grenade and there's just chaos? Or, is it going to be something totally what I didn't expect, which is what I didn't expect. And as you read the story, again, it just popped in my head of like the rabbit, luck, loyalty. And was it going to keep going on in the issue? And as it did, it made me think of things like Alice in Wonderland's a perfect example of that rabbit, of that not a sidekick, but that person who's there with that person, with Alice. So I was like, wow, let's see where this rabbit goes. Hopefully it will survive. And as I saw Bigfoot ready to, with the reflection in the blade, before I even turned the page, I'm like, please, rabbit, live. But you never know. I didn't know what to expect coming out of you guys' brains. Like, you could throw me totally for a curve, because I already threw me for a curve as I turned the page.
Yeah. No, I was right there with you. I was like, oh, look who's
Right.
here. Like I was done. I was prepared to see it on a plate.
Right.
Like, oh, this is, it's rabbit season. So
yeah.
yeah.
These first like 8 pages in this sequence, I think, was all it's all Dan. He kind of did it as proof of concept. He had just to show, I guess, kind of to show like, dude, I'm in this for real. This is a thing that I'm doing. This is what you're going to be working with. And he sent it to me, like, especially when I got to like panel 3 of what he had sent me on this page, I was like, holy shit, this is fantastic. So yeah, I was that was a jaw dropper panel for me. And eventually I kind of put my stamp on it as well. but like these first few pages are 100% Dan.
Nice.
Mm.
I just like the framing of it. It's just like that nice
Perfect.
brush stroke reminiscent of so I grew up with old school karate films, totally had to like read subtitles type of thing, and this is kind of reminiscent of that kind of style, and it felt very nostalgic for me because I'm like, oh, I miss sitting with my dad watching old school kung fu movies. So for that, was any of that like inspired within these details, especially like the framing of the eyes and the sword?
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, yeah, it was. I watched a handful of old school karate kung fu movies when I was doing this. My favorite, though, had been like Mon. In fact, I was just going back and watching that again a couple of days ago, just because I just love the story. And but other things, I think when we were pitching the comic, we were talking Godzilla versus Kong meets Kill Bill. And so Kill Bill, I mean, and that ilk of film definitely has a lot to do with, how it's framed. And I'm a 90s comics guy too. So anchor panels are a big thing for me. And I think you'll notice that throughout the book, that there's usually like an anchor panel that'll tie the whole page together. There's no white gutters in the book. You know what I mean? There's no, we're going full bleed on the page. And so I didn't want it to just
noticed that.
Yeah, I wanted the colors to everything to kind of feel cohesive. So while it's not like a 90s Image Comics anchor panel where you got like the character always breaking, breaking panel, breaking pose, in some mega pose, it's not like that. But I wanted to at least bring that concept to it with a totally different layout and aesthetic. The best way I can put it, without sounding like a pretentious ass. Or did I sound like pretentious ass?
No.
We'll find out. So,
also, next issue he will have pouches everywhere.
lots of pouches. Lots of pouches. Should I flip pages?
Yes, please.
Okay. And then we find out what the true adversary is in this, at least in this part of the situation. So, with your little wolf man there. And let me just kind of start off by saying I have never used references like I used references in this book. I mean, I don't know how to draw. I don't know how to draw a rabbit like from memory. I don't know what a wolf looks like from memory. So I had to look at a lot of different images and that sort of thing to kind of get it together. It came across okay, but I still wasn't, I don't know. I mean, to me, I know it's not cheating, but sometimes it pisses me off to have to do it. But I did use references, and then even poses and stuff like that. Like Casey gave me this amazing pose book that I was absolutely in love with. A lot of gunfights and martial arts fights, and it was really amazing because it's shot from the same fight, shot from different camera angles, top views, all this stuff like that. So you run these sequences. Too.
It's like it's a Japanese reference book, and it's nothing but action poses. And
it's incredible. Yeah. So I looked at that a lot.
It's like every freaking scenario you could even imagine.
Wow.
And they're all in different poses, and a lot of them a lot different than this. But they're doing all kinds of crazy shit, and it's fantastic. And it's guys that actually, it looks like they know what they're doing.
Oh, they knew what they're doing. That was incredible.
Oh yeah.
That was incredible. So I mean, but I'm also a big Sin City fan, and big Frank Miller fan. I love Sin City. That most of that run I've read, and so there'll be references to that too, with the silhouettes and that sort of thing, and sometimes the color palette too, that will come up Sin City.
So I do remind everyone, for those who won't know, who are going to watch this, that Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, this is all with your finger, right?
Yeah, for the most part, I draw with my fingertip, and I use a mouse, and that's how I draw.
I was waiting for your expression, Catherine.
Say what now? You draw somebody.
I draw on a HP Envy laptop. It's a 17-inch laptop, and I use Adobe Illustrator, and I draw with my fingertip. So,
game changer. Right?
I would have lost money on that bet. Like I
just saw the boom.
Serious...
Catherine's head just exploded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dennis was like honed in, ready for my
I
expression.
was waiting. Yeah.
I would have lost some serious money on that bet because I would have been like, hell no, like look
way.
at this.
Right.
He would have used a pen. Like, who
100%.
does this?
Yeah.
Finger. Okay.
Fingertip. And so
Thanks for
I
reminding me that my talents are never going to be this great.
Insure
So-
that finger, Dan. Insure it.
yeah, right.
Right?
You know, if this one goes, I got this one still. So the
So
no,
that
but
really
it's
made me appreciate like the artwork even more.
100%.
Like,
Mhm.
because wow, just wow.
you know, it was just I found that it was the most comfortable way to draw. My hand shakes a little bit, and it doesn't show as much when I'm drawing directly on the screen as I did when I was using a stylus. So I like that concept. I like that part of it too. And like I said, I use a mouse a lot. So I mean, again, I'm a graphic designer. I mean, that's just my comfortable workflow. And I mean, I draw with my finger for work too, I guess, but you know, not near as much. But yeah, so it's just the way I'm comfortable drawing.
I've interviewed maybe hundreds of artists. The first one that and I feel like that moment from Ratatouille where the guy's like explaining how he was like with this thumb, like Dan's like with this finger. Like I'm like, great, all right, awesome.
If you guys follow me on Instagram, you can go over to the IGTV section of my page and you can watch videos of me live drawing, and you can see it in action. So
I'm gonna.
oh yeah, it
Oh,
is. That's so.
It's amazing.
Should we move on to the next page, or where are we
Yes,
at?
please.
Okay, there we go. So hero pose. You finally get one of those from him, you know, in this page. So made some mincemeat of the wolf there, and it's really kind of, you know, we finally get a little blood on the first page and second page, and as you read on, there's a little more. But yeah, go ahead, Kat. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. Right
No.
away.
I was laughing. I was kind of laughing and agreeing on your statement there.
Yeah.
One note I kept getting from him is more gore, more gore. So whenever I would wonder if I was going too far in the fight scene, Dan was backing me up, going, "No, I want to draw this shit. Like, let's do this.
Yeah.
We're going in for a penny and for a pound."
So do you fellas even consider not going red blood or another color blood just to be more kid friendly, or was it never a question in mind?
We say
It was-
fuck too much to be kid friendly.
Yeah, I mean,
Got it.
it was never the book. Look, I mean, the book was never intended to be for kids. You know, I mean,
Got it.
I personally wanted to write, you know, an R-rated comic, but you know, I mean, not nudity and that sort of thing. I mean, we had all the sexual stuff in Latex Avenger with all,
You
know,
got it
all
out of
the
your system.
with all the innuendo and all that. And this is not that kind of story. I mean, you know, but violence, yeah. I mean, introspection, yeah. But you know, yeah, I wanted to. I'm not a horror guy. I'm not into blood. I watch comedies if I'm watching TV, and but I just wanted to do something disgusting in its way, you know, and over the top. I mean, it's not so bloody that it's just gory. I mean, it's over the top. And you mentioned Monty Python earlier. Somebody mentioned Monty Python earlier.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of like that over the top in terms of the blood. But I don't think it takes away from the story. I don't think it does. But you guys tell me. So.
But also, like, you know, we kept saying like one of our main film influences for this book, other than Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, was Kill Bill. And like that is a gory film.
Well done, sir.
So
spoiler alert, Bigfoot gives his pants to the rabbit at the end, just saying, and it fits perfectly. Like I'm just
also going back to that rabbit, Dennis picked up something on that rabbit, and when I saw like that sequence for the first time, I was like, oh, we're fucking keeping that rabbit. They're writing that rabbit into the rest of the book. That rabbit's our rabbit now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
there's going to be a scene in probably book 3, and I'll just go ahead and just mention this because he's going to have.
I love it.
Yeah, he's going to have I'm not going to go into much about it, but he's going to have an exchange with someone, and there's going to be sitting in the woods, and there's going to be a rabbit out, and he sees it, and he's going to kind of do this to it. The rabbit's going to come over and just sit in his lap, you know. And I think that the rabbit's going to show up a lot in throughout the comic, like Casey said, in different ways and forms. And I think it's just kind of like that, maybe a bit of a spirit animal, you know, for the character, because we're borrowing from a lot of different cultures in the book. With, you know, we'll get to a certain sword later on, or a knife later on in the book, that's completely out of sorts for the world that we're working in, or the culture we're working in originally with the martial arts. So we're going to be pulling from a lot of different mythology and a lot of different culture throughout the story over the 5 issues. So it's just something to look at too. But so whether it's, you know, historical or, you know, or philosophical, you know, the rabbit, you know, that rabbit is, yeah, I mean, I think a spirit animal is a really good way to put it. So we'll see him a lot.
Sweet.
Shall I flip?
Yeah, I think we get ready for this. So this is one of the pages that I was like, oh, and I'm sorry because my memory is terrible. I thought it was Casey that drew. I liked the transition in the top of the panel to the bottom of the panel, and it's correct me if I'm reading too much into this, but so the way the 2 top panels are framed, with the outside border being, you know, a lighter color, to flipping it to the bottom where it's the darker, I'm like, oh, this was smart play, because now we're seeing, you know, Bigfoot is the hero of the comic, and then we're seeing villains introduced to it. Is that correct? Was I supposed to read it that way?
Absolutely. Okay. You know, I mean, color tells sets tone, and I think tone was more important sometimes than just getting the background color correct from panel to panel, because you're going to see the sky change colors throughout, and you know, that's just totally reminiscent of the tone of the book. I mean, of the moment. And so when he goes from the sweet moment where he's connecting with the rabbit to all of a sudden, you know, bam, it's shot in the arm. And that's the thing. If you notice from panel 2 to panel 3, when Merle and Waylon here are shooting at, they're not shooting at a Bigfoot, shooting at the rabbit. You know, that's one thing, you know, where we explore through in this first issue, is that you can't see Bigfoot. Okay, he's not just available and accessible. To be able to see a Bigfoot, you'd probably have to be touched in some way, or provoked. You'd have to provoke said Bigfoot. And so when they're shooting at this rabbit and they inadvertently get the Bigfoot, well, first of all, if we learned anything from the previous pages, that he wasn't going to put up with a wolf taking out the Bigfoot, or taking out the rabbit. He's sure as hell not going to deal with man.
Yeah.
You know, and because man is, you know, ravaged the forests, and, you know, and taken things over for his own, that's not going to happen. And I think they, you know, inadvertently made a very big enemy out of the cryptid warrior himself. So.
And I like even that the earth, like it goes from the greenery, because even when he was fighting the wolf, you could still see the greenery. And then he gets shot, everything fades to like this black and red. And then you go down to that third section of the, the second section of that panel, and the greenery is no longer there.
Yeah.
And I actually thought that was a great play on, we've gone from, you know, light and fluffy and protecting the rabbit from just a simple wolf, to dark and there's serious preys out here other than the wolf type of thing. And that's how I took this whole entire page. And I just thought it was so well played to that. Dennis, speak to a little bit to this page as well, please.
Yeah, the transition, like that transition from the, you know, first half back to the bottom half. One of the things I've done, like as I've been making my comic, is trying to explain scenes without using the words. This does. You don't have to use the words. You automatically see the colors. And again, take all the words out. You see the good or the wholesomeness of the scene. And as you get to the bottom where it gets dark and somber and foreboding, but the transition is all in the color. You don't have to say, these are the bad guys. It's all there, you know, as you take out the words. But yeah, the transition was great. Again, going full bleed too, just a darkness, something so simple that, you know, something I've been using a lot too, just trying to understand it and kind of set up a panel that way. It's just more dynamic, but just well done as far as the transition of the story.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Case, what do you got, buddy?
I just really like how it goes from idyllic to the darkness of the two characters, and it really kind of sets the tone for the rest of the book, because he's being pulled into as you see, he's being pulled into a fight each time. He's the reluctant hero, and it's we're gonna put this guy through hell.
For me, the first time reading it, it was the brush strokes. Because remember, I had already loved the framing of like Bigfoot's eyes with the brushstroke frame around him. And then I noticed that you did that in black. And I was like, oh, okay. And it wasn't until the second time that I read it that I was doing my notes and stuff that I was like, oh, wait a second, the greenery is gone too. Like the greenery is no longer there. Because the first time I was just going through it as a comic book reader, as an enjoyer. The second time I read it, I was like, okay, time to get my pen and paper out, let me make these notes. And that's when I noticed that the greenery was gone too. And I was like, oh, that's so smart. That's like so genius to me. Was that something purposeful right from the go? Or was that something that you went back and was like, you know what, let me take the greenery out?
No, that was right from the go. That was right from the go. It was, I wanted the mood. The mood changed, and I wanted that to be reflective of that. And you'll see the colors change as throughout the book. I mean, that happens once, there'll be another character introduced later on that, everything goes a hell of a lot more stark, in that time. And then when we get over to a couple of pages from now, when he goes into his meditation, you'll see the shifts there as well. So shall we?
Yes, let's.
Okay. Remember what I was saying before about you can't see the Bigfoot. So this was that opportunity for us to be able to show what that transformation would be from once provoked. He's been shot in the arm. He's a wee bit pissed off at this point, and he's kept his head for the most part, but like that phasing in concept, you can see the trees coming through behind him. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think this one kind of speaks for itself a bit, but, I don't know.
This was the page. As soon as I got to this page, I was like, Dan's playing with opacity. And there was a couple of times, a couple of pages in where you did it a couple of times. I'm like, again, something so genius where you don't have to say that he's not visible or that he's on a different plane. Something as simple as playing with that opacity. I'm like, okay, here we go. Again, something to me, it's considered something I would consider more high level, like nailed it. And then I saw it again and you're using for different scenes. Again, fantastic.
Is that how you not, and this is for a lack of a better word, but judge other people's arts, or not? I hate using the word judge, but I can't think of anything better to say, where you look at the panel and you're like, if I take away the words, do I understand what's happening here? Is that how you, I don't want to say critique either, because that's like a terrible, like, that has such a bad connotation to it, but you
evaluate, I mean,
Yeah.
It's a good rule of thumb for a page.
Yeah.
For sure.
Dennis, I meant that for Dennis. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things, I when I started doing a lot of work, it was a lot of splash pages, and just, real like cool marketing and posters. And what is always was a challenge for everyone always told me, can you do panel work? Can you tell a story without words? And that's always the end all be all. Can you tell a story without words? Here, it's 100%. Like if you take the words right off, it's there. Technically, when you look at these pages as I'm going through them, they're just so sound. And again, not to sound surprised, I think I'm more surprised, and I'll probably recap this at the end, is it's an indie book. Not that my expectations for indie isn't very high, but from a lot of the indie books I read, they feel indie in the bad sense of the word indie.
Yeah.
This does not. I mean, there's 100% like, and I was going to bring this at the end, but I'll mention it now. This is something that should be on a shelf. It should be in a store. This should be something that people are buying, not as an indie book, as a mainstream collection. It's that high level as far as professionalism. But something as simple as this page, again, something as simple as playing with the opacity on it, it just speaks for itself. Where if those words weren't there and you saw it, you'd be like, okay, he's not visible. There's something in play here. And it was just translated so well with something so simple,
Yeah. For me, it took a minute for me to catch on the whole different plane of existence. I just figured that because he's so in tune with his surroundings, he can camouflage better and be so light on his feet because a lot of times when you hear about people who practice kung fu or karate or, you know, whatever form of martial arts, they're very light and quiet on their feet. So that's how I took this panel. I'm like, yo, he knows these woods. This is his home. Nobody has to see him unless he wants to be seen. And that's exactly how I took this panel. So I guess it does speak to that whole, if the words weren't there, I would know that they still couldn't see him. You know what I mean? So
I love
yeah.
the different interpretation of that. I mean, I do, because I mean, frankly, it is one of those things that we're playing with theme a lot. You know, we're playing with symbolism a lot, whether it's the rabbit or other things that'll come up throughout the story. And so I think that there's room for interpretation in the book. Frankly, it's not going to be, not every single thing is going to be explained. It's not going to be spoon fed to the reader. And I think that's, you know, has a lot to do with, you know, Casey and myself just kind of wanting to push the envelope of the writing. And then there's, you know, typical, you know, fight jabber and that sort of thing that we do. But I think that we really, again, not to sound like pretentious ass, but, you know, I mean, we're just kind of pushing the level of the writing, and trying to bring, look, the biggest thing is to try and bring something that you guys didn't expect to the table that you still enjoy. You know, I mean, that was the big thing, is that we didn't want to make what you thought this book was supposed to be. And I think we're achieving that as you read on, but as we're, you know, learning the character. But Case, what do you think, man?
Well, one thing I think that as a writer, I don't want to kind of drop everything in front of the reader and go, here is everything you need to know right away, and then tell the story. I want to kind of let them piece things together. I remember getting books off of the rack when I was a kid, you know, off the spinner rack. And, you know, it would be, I don't know, like a Fantastic Four 57 or whatever, 358. And I didn't read, you know, all 357 of the preceding issues.
Right.
So I had to kind of piece it together myself. And that was fun for me. I enjoyed that. And I don't want to, you know, drop people in the middle of a lake and expect them to swim, but also I want them to kind of go like, all right, this is what I need to know, and I will go from here. I'll pick it up from here. And part of his ability to kind of like phase, that's going to play into a bigger plot point later on. It's almost like an inadvertent thing for him right now, but it's going to play a larger role in the developing story as we go forward. So just kind of keep your eyes on that ball. And
Nice.
Yeah. For me, like as a reader, like I appreciate that, because I've always been very vocal about this. I'm not the brightest light bulb, you know, out there. I'm very slow, but I have a very vivid imagination. And when I read a book, comic, whatever I'm reading, I want to, you know, think that I know what's going to happen and then be pleasantly surprised that I'm either wrong or right. You know what I mean? And I like that about Bigfoot Knows Karate, because it's like, oh, maybe this is going to happen. Oh shit, no, that's not what happened. Or this is going to happen. Oh my God, yes, I was right. Like, I can't believe, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the kind of stuff as a reader that I enjoy. It's don't tell me everything right then and there, because then there's no point in me having an imagination, you know, and there's no point in the story progressing because I already know everything right here now, you know? So definitely. Next one. Yeah.
And we finally get to see a little bit of whoop ass, you know, and you know, go ahead.
I was actually worried that we went too far with how much he beat the shit out of the hunters. And but again, like it's going to be something that plays later on. Like, you know, he's protecting his forest, he's protecting the weak little rabbits, but also he's these guys are going to be, you know, eating through a straw for the rest of their lives.
I thought they were dead. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I was like,
yeah,
womp, womp, you messed up.
right.
You're done fucked up, son.
Right.
You know,
Fucking around and then finding out.
Yeah,
That is what they
exactly.
did.
Yeah, done found out. Yeah. And I just like that the greenery is back. Now that the enemy is gone, the greenery is back. And I definitely like
All's right in
that.
the universe. Yeah, all's right in the universe as far as he's concerned.
Also,
'cause-
I like Dan's onomatopoeics, the sound effects.
Oh yes, yeah. I thought those were so cool because it has like a little static kind of effect to it, like a lightning kind of look to it. And I was like, yo, these guys are getting their asses beat. Like I just love the different, the way that he used that font. It's definitely different as well. The T, just looking like a vampire steak type of thing. So I just loved it. I
So
pick up on the weirdest things. I'm sorry.
no. So I mean, like the sound effects were a real pain in the ass for me, because I wanted organic again, scratchy, grungy, organic in the look, not curved, not super, no bada boom. You know what I mean? Like no super heroic fonts because it's not a superhero book. I mean, it's just not. And so again, it had the aesthetic of the lettering had to match up with the aesthetic of the book. So you're still getting the grungy boxes around the narrations. The font I used, Adam Warren, was, I mean, definitely one of that grungier fonts that you can find. And somebody who looked at my original, some of my original sound effects was Chris Michael over at Homebrew. He actually, I went to him. I said, "Hey, you're a letterer. Any advice?" And so he looked at the first couple pages and gave me a couple of notes. And so thank you, Chris, for taking a look at that for me. Dennis, Chris.
Chris
So,
is a man.
Yeah. So anyway, so he was kind enough to do that for me. And so I did want to shout that out. So anyway, but yeah.
So usually when I look at a page or I look at any kind of book, things that stand out to me, like if I want to steal a panel. So by that being like, if I see a panel that's just like, damn, I'm gonna copy that panel, but take that character out, put my own character in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that third panel, that long panel with the big foot,
yeah,
digging it, the perspective on it. I'm like, I saw that, I go, I'm stealing that panel, but it's gonna be my character kicking, and this is gonna be some low level somebody. But I'm like, I'm stealing that pose and I'm stealing that panel. So that was cool. Yeah.
Enjoy.
And then the other thing is, and this is just for me, just because I've been watching your lives, seeing you actually do this bottom action pose with your finger.
Yeah.
It just changes the level of I don't want to say respect for the page, but just appreciation for the page when I've actually seen you do it live with your finger. So as those who do buy the book or see this, like definitely jump on that live. It'll change your outlook just raise your outlook on the book. But yeah, just cool. It was like I followed you on your journey, Dan, as you kind of just did this with your finger,
Yeah, because I drew that pose, that bottom pose live, on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, you'll see a lot of things that I did on Instagram, and I just inserted them into the page where I wanted them to, and I just didn't show you guys the context of what was going on. There was a lot of plans because I couldn't draw like just stuff for lives and still have enough time to draw for the book. So it was like double duty. How can I show you guys what's going on? And then I had shut down my lives for a while because I couldn't show y'all anything that I was drawing. And I get a note, "Hey, let's do a live. Hey, get me after my book's out." Because I mean, and as much as I wanted to do them, I had to draw the book. I had to draw. That was like so important to be able to get this done. I mean, it was a big deal to me that this book be ready as soon as possible after the campaign was done, because I didn't want to I don't want to leave anybody hanging, I mean, that's a real big deal. So it comes out quickly. But yeah, y'all saw a lot of the book over Instagram as I was working on it. And it was fun to, keep people kind of abreast of what was happening, because it kept people's interest in the book going, throughout the process. So just burping a little there, throughout the process. And that was a big deal. I mean, just keeping interest alive, throughout, because I think it translated to the campaign later on, that, people be just fully aware and be invested into the comic. So, yeah. Next page, Kat.
Which is my favorite. This is the number one one of the two that I wrote down that is my favorite. I love this page. Like this page is everything to me. I can't explain exactly what it is about the page that I maybe it's because so I'm very big into video games. I'm a huge gamer, been playing since I was 5. And one of the things that I hate about video game art is that they get muddy. Like I understand that they have bigger things to worry about, like the character moving, but like a lot of the backgrounds get muddied and it gets lost in it. And I just don't feel like I'm actually in the video game, if that makes sense. And I think for me with this page is just everything is what it is. There's no muddiness to it. Even the rocks, you can see individual rocks. You have the big silhouette. I'm looking at the I'm showing you like y'all can see. But like even the translucentness, but the mountains are still visible and you can see the difference between the mountains, the shadow, and I think that's what it is. There's just no muddiness to it. And I appreciate that because there's always something to see. Even the mountains in the background with the wind going, like, I'm just like, I love this page so much. Like there's just no muddiness. And I think that's what I overall appreciate about this. Cause it's even his hair, it's like, you can see pretty much every strand of his hair and it's not just clumped up together. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Perfect.
I think so. I like it, but I like the less is more with this page. There's a lot of things going on and there's a lot of words in there, but there needed to be an opportunity to get a little exposition about the character out and to kind of understand his mindset a little bit more, and having this change of pace from the battle warrior to the introspective I don't know, just the philosopher. And I mean, because there's many facets to the character. I hope that translates throughout the story, that he's not a one-dimensional character, that there's a lot going on with this guy. Back to the rabbit who's over there to the right. There's almost like this Lenny of Mice and Men thing going, but without, I don't think he's going to crush the rabbit. You know what I mean? But there's a sweetness, and I think that, but there's a warrior. So there's a lot. He's a busy guy. He's got a lot to say. So without making his lips move, he's got a lot to say.
On the page.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just saying, again, I see Dan was playing the opacity. I love the fact that he framed the bottom with the rocks. Like that's actually like a panel. That's a frame right there. Genius. Because you're always trying to make your page look different, but just framing that scene with the water, with the rocks was genius. There's a phrase in here, and I wanted to get clarity on it. So top word bubble, where it says, "I wish man felt the same for us," meaning for us as in him and the rabbit and the creatures and the animals, or for us meaning there's more than one Bigfoot.
I'm gonna go ahead and just drop a truth bomb on you now.
Another exclusive. Let's go.
Yeah, no, he's the man. Okay, that's the one.
Okay.
More for us, I would say, for the nature at large.
Okay.
He and the rabbit, he and the even hell, he and the wolf.
Okay.
But while he may be the only Bigfoot, there's a lot of cryptids out there too. Sure. But I don't think all of them, I don't think there's a great respect for mankind in the world of cryptids, I would have to say,
No, not at all.
Yeah, and that'll be explored throughout the subsequent issues for sure. So,
Casey, how much of your writing is in this page?
So this right here is kind of right. Like I did some editing here and there and just kind of tightened up some words and said, made some suggestions. But for this page, this is mostly Dan.
Okay.
Like 99.9%. And this is right before shit gets crazy.
Yeah.
And that is where I kind of went to Dan and said, hey, he's meditating. Can I take it to a weird place? And this is where that kind of changeover goes, where it's kind of like he hands me the baton,
Yeah.
and I'm like, all right, like, just bear with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I'm pretty sure he liked it, because he illustrated and went with it. And I freaking love it. And
Yeah.
so I hope you guys dig where we're going. So
Yeah.
Yeah, let me flip pages, because Casey time. This is where, this is where Casey gets to go crazy. And I loved it, man. I loved it because I personally was trying to think about it from, the next, another plane of existence. And Casey got where I was going, where I wanted to go with it, and just put the steroids into it, gave it the mustard, rubbed some dirt in it, whatever you want to call it. Just put the umph in there and really started to lay out a world. And you could see, through his stage directions, that top panel, like when I was reading the notes for this top panel, I was like, I'm thinking Pink Floyd's The Wall, not The Wall, Dark Side of the Moon. And I'm thinking, that was like one of the things we talked about was Dark Side of the Moon, the cover for that, the album cover. And, coming in on one side in the, with the white and shooting it out into the spectrum of color. And, in panel 2, where, he's not quite formed in that world, in the opacity, and he's looking over the bridge and could see, just fire. But you see his presence in all the panels. Even in the bottom panel, you still see the meditative Bigfoot in the background throughout what's going on as he's making his way over into. We discussed this a lot. What to call it? At one point I was calling it the here and the there, and Casey was calling it the real and the unreal. And so I think we're kind of using both terms that are, is that how we're going with it, Casey?
Yeah. The thing there's a line on up ahead that I didn't want people to stumble over. So that's where the real and the unreal come in. And the unreal is really like, if you kind of get into like Platonic philosophy or whatever, it's like looking at the shadows on the cave wall or whatever, or the it's the clay of reality. And when you're in the unreal, like there's so much there, the possibility is endless. And then the real world is just the corporeal, like here, the now. The unreal kind of exists outside of time and space, and it's going to play a larger part in the greater storyline. But for now, it's just he's kind of in his head, and he's kind of working through things as to what's going on. So
yeah.
Shall I?
Yep.
All right. There we go.
This is my poor Yorick panel. I love it. And so if I may, so I really wanted him to kind of come across like this is the fears that he has. And the skulls, the mountain of skulls are kind of his Greek chorus telling him like, you're just you're going to fail. You're awful. You don't know what you're doing. You're weak. You're going to die. And he's, kind of having to get over himself. So.
Yeah, I like that wording. You act strong. To me, that definitely stood out, because a lot of times we tend to act how we want to be perceived, but we're not necessarily that way. And that definitely stood out. And I was like, oh man, they're playing some fucked up mind games. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's different for somebody to say you are not strong, or you're weak, and use those words. But when you tell somebody you're acting a certain way. It's just not who they are. You know, they're putting on this facade, this persona. And I was like, yo, they are mind fucking like big time. Like it's crazy. So that's
And
definitely
the square panels, Dan has such a good grasp on how this character talks. And a lot of the time, like during the writing process of this, Dan's like, hey, maybe you should, edit this, let's, don't be scared to make it your own. And I'm like, this is what he would do. It's Bigfoot talking. So
Right.
I was kind of reticent to change too much of what Dan had written from like the internal monologue. But I really thought that he had such a great grasp on how he would think and how he would talk.
I'm seeing edit right here. I need to move this bubble to the left. Or to the
Can I
right,
talk
it's gonna get trimmed off. I'm seeing that. I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
gotta fix that. So
I want to talk about that bubble, dude. So on my second time reading it, I thought I picked up on something, and then the third time I read it, I thought that panel right there, where it starts, I feel like being pulled or forced through the journey, and then it kicked me right in the gut on the third time I read it. Like my actions may not be my own. I thought that was foreshadowing. Like when you get to the end of the issue, certain things were happening to him that he wasn't in control of. So I didn't know if that was on purpose you did that, or if it was just something more reticent of him being in that house, like that, the there or the here or the there.
I feel like we picked good people to do this with us, Casey, because they're asking the good questions,
So that's kind of going to be a theme in the book, is like self-determination, agency, and
control.
Yeah, exactly. So does he write his own story?
Yeah, I mean, do we have what's the term I'm looking for? Are we independent thinkers? Are we allowed to, or is
do
this
we
one
have
big?
free will? Do we really
free
have
will?
free
Yeah,
will?
do we really have free will?
Bingo.
I mean, that's a real big question, and I think that as we understand this Bigfoot and how he operates versus what his reality is, are two different things. I think are two different things, and as we get through further in the book, I mean, I think that gets explained a lot more. But I'm hoping we asked enough questions at the end to make people go, "Oh shit, I need book 2." So
yes, yeah. For me, yes, because I'm like, okay, I need to know what happens next.
Right.
So Casey said that you have a way of knowing what this Bigfoot is gonna say. Did you write like a character arc? Like, okay, my name is Bigfoot and I'm 35 years old, and these are the things that I like, these are the things that I hate. Did you do like one of those things?
Tinder profile?
Yeah.
No, I think
I like long walks with my bunny.
Right,
Like,
right.
Okay, I want to rewind back to like 92, 93, 94, somewhere around there. Back to that whole Image Comics thing. One of the things that I was, okay, and y'all can judge me however you want for this, but back in the day, I was a Rob Liefeld fan. And one of the things that he would always do is he would write these stories that had like this one character thinking through his situation, narrating the situation, and then like fighting ninjas or fighting Shield or fighting Hydra or fighting, and they were all looked the same, all the dudes that he was fighting, because that made it easier to draw. And but it was this introspective thought. I think Cybrid is a good example of that. The first, like if you read Extreme Comics Extreme Zero, there was a Cybrid story, and it was all him going, standing all like by the grave of the woman he loves, and then like all these ninjas pop up out of the graveyard, and he's like, got to take out the ninjas, but the whole time he's like, who am I? What's going on? Where am I going with this? And he's thinking through, oh, Maggie or whatever her name was. I can't remember. I think it was Maggie, but I'll get my revenge for you. But they come to hunt me down. It was kind of one of those things that kind of set a tone for me. But how do you do it and actually make a fucking story out of it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rather than 4 or 5 pages of him just like fighting ninjas and giving him something to say at the same time. So, but that introspective, that I knew the character, what he was going to be. As soon as the original sketches of this existence of Bigfoot came around, as soon as I got the art style, I was like, okay, this guy's a moody dude, you know, thinks a lot, he's got a lot to say, can't move his mouth or can't move his lips to make sounds come out, but he's got a lot to say, and he's gonna be a very deep thinker, and that's gonna come out a lot. Yeah,
That
that's
was
kind of where I was
also
at.
like we kind of had a constant like, should we make him talk? Like we really, there were a few times where we wanted him to kind of spout off or whatever, but it was hard. But we had to go like, no, like we made this decision for him to be mute at least throughout issue 1, and like it is what it is. So now we have to navigate that and tell the story without him saying anything. So I thought that the having the internal monologue was a good thing, because you also don't want to think that your main guy in the story is like has no thoughts or
Right.
is, you know, stupid or
You kind of want to give
whatever.
him like a personality.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
then you can relate to this silent character.
Mhm.
Otherwise, like it's hard to relate to a guy that beats up wolves and
Yeah, and I think that you have you know, like characters like the Hulk, who's like, oh, Hulk smash, oh, doesn't have anything good to say, dude. You know, I mean,
yeah.
and I want to, you know, I mean, he's a brute, but he's a smart brute. He's a very intelligent brute, and he gets to exemplify that, you know, or gets
Tortured
to live
brute.
that out. So, what's that?
Tortured. He's a tortured brute.
Tortured. He's a tortured brute. I like
Tortured
that.
brute.
Yeah. So, shall we?
Yes. Because I'm gonna let y'all know exactly how slow I am with this page. Like, just y'all think
Okay.
I'm joking when I say that I'm slow. Like, y'all about to find out.
All right.
So
Talk to
the
us.
first time I read this, I was like, "Oh shit, the bunny's against him. The bunny's the enemy." And I'm thinking she's like, "Leave him and leave him alone." I was like, "Yo, the bunny turned on him." Like that's how when the first time I read this, I was like, "Yo, not the bunny! Like he saved your life." Like that's how I took this whole entire page. I was like, "Damn, the bunny done did it." Like you know what I mean?
Honey
And then
done did it.
yeah, and then the second time I was like, "Oh, stupid."
Yeah.
He's not, like it's not talking to the bunny. He's stupid. I was like, "Oh man, they're gonna tear me apart for this one." But like, I legit the first time I read it, I was like, "Oh shit, the bunny done did it." And yeah, so it wasn't until the second time that I was like, "Oh, they're not talking to the bunny. Got it. Understood. I see what's happening."
Just keep your eyes on the bottom panel, the last words that she says, because that's going to play into a larger part of the story. And that's really all I have to say about this page, other than, oh my gosh, the Mountain of Skulls, fantastic. There's so many different like styled skulls in there. You can kind of see.
Yeah.
And the character that's talking, we'll see her in issue 2.
Oh.
And she's really fantastic. You're gonna love her. And she's kind of in the same realm as our buddy Bigfoot.
Got it. The silhouette is very reminiscent of the physical form of Zool from Ghostbusters. I'm sorry, but that's like
Yes.
like that's how
There's no
the
tea.
original Ghostbusters. For those of you that have
Yes.
never seen like the original Ghostbusters, like the silhouette of, I'm like, damn, she's shaped just like
She's gonna
Zool.
be like,
okay, I'm like, yes, exactly. Like I was like, all right, I got it.
Amazing.
Like I really like that silhouette a lot, and it just because the proportions are so I'm a stickler for female proportions, and I just like the
We are
proportions.
too.
It's it's not over the top. What happened?
I said we are too.
You know,
I like a good character woman now. But there's certain aspects, like sometimes I like an overdone boob. Like that's the thing. That's really a thing. But in this silhouette, I do appreciate that all the proportions are good. And that's why it reminded me of Zool, because her figure is very proportionate and very nice silhouette. So I did like that about this.
you know,
One thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to talk about the symbolism for a second. In the you know, as we mentioned, the rabbit will be symbolic and be repeated throughout. Another thing that is going to be repeated imagery is the triangle. This is now the second triangle in the book. and you'll see that triangle will reappear again. And so alluding to something larger, but on, what was it? Hold on. Yeah, we see our first triangle on panel one, or in panel one there. And then, it's been repeated here. So I just wanted to make note of that for no particular reason than triangle. So anyway.
I was y'all were talking about Liefeld earlier, and I'm not a fan.
Right.
Which is fine. You like what you like.
Sure.
I've never been a huge fan. One thing that's always bugged me though is his proportions for women. We were talking about proportion. Yeah. Like it's kind of gross. And also like they fold like a deck of cards if they were just walking through the door. If a strong wind hit them, they'd break in half. So much less throwing ninja stars at people or whatever. So I appreciated Dan drawing her with she's looks like she has some musculature. She's not a waif.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna make Dan a little work if he wants to edit this part out. But I actually interviewed an artist and he did like realistic boobs, and I said to him during the interview, I was like, "Thank you for drawing realistic boobs," and then he used that as the quote to promote like his whole entire work.
That's awesome.
Like,
no, we can get that in. I like that.
And I mean, sometimes you just want to see your realistic body out there, and like I said, I just appreciate the proportions being correct.
I interviewed Terry Moore not long ago. And Terry Moore, he's he's also from Texas, and loving what did he do? Not Loving
Strangers in Paradise.
Strangers in Paradise, yeah. And fantastic artwork, and really, really knows how to draw a female form without going like getting gross with it.
Sure.
And yeah, I've just always loved his ability to draw something that is aesthetically pleasing, but also not like too much into like the male gaze or whatever, that it's like objectively gross.
Sure.
When it's like porn or whatever.
It's not that story, I mean, like I think that there's a place for, at least there was, back in the day with the misproportioned females with the guns and the boobs and the whole thing, there was a time period where that was chic to do, the world's changed, the world's changed a lot, but also I think that the artwork should match the tone of the story. That's a big thing for me. And agreed. This isn't that story. I mean, I felt like she was a little busty in panel 2, 3, whatever it was over there, but only because the silhouette, you had to be able to visualize that this is a female form, and to, so there has to be, men and women are just built differently, especially in comic books. And so, and, with females, less is more in the artwork, the less lines you have in their face, the less you age them, and you want there to be some curve to it, rather than, but, in this art style that's so flowy and so loose, that I mean, it's like, how do you this is always going to be a wall for me, is always going to be drawing females. I mean, I do it decently from time to time, but trying to tell a story and keep them consistent looking from panel to panel, we shall see in the subsequent issues as the female character really works its way into the story. But right now, just getting to do this tease for the character, I thought it executed pretty well. I think that it sets the tone for what's going to happen further on down the road. So, but back to tone. I mean, we're seeing the world change around them, the fire and the brimstone and the skulls and all of that. I mean, his environment's very different, but very, I don't know what the word is. It's not interactive. I mean, he's there, you can feel him there, but it's not like, I don't know. There's just a different feel to it. And I'm
interested in the orb that she's holding.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun, isn't it?
Yeah, we're gonna get into that too.
Yeah, she got powers. So, but hear me, cryptid. Hear my words. The Father is coming for you. So that's like a big key piece that we'll go into later on. So, shall I flip, Kat?
Yes.
Okay. And then we make our way from the unreal back to the real, and some shit's about to go down. As the best way to put that. So. But she's still talking him through as he's making his way up, and we are introduced to a whole new character in the story now with a whole new personality.
Mhm.
And yeah, so let's talk about your man Cthulhu here. What do you want to say, guys?
Dennis?
Well,
Anyone? Yeah, jump in.
The first thing, nice subtle way to introduce him, like the back shot. It wasn't just over top. I know the next page is your big dramatic thing. I know for me, just following you guys, I was waiting for him. Like, as I turn the page, when's he coming? When's he coming? When's he coming? And then I saw the back shot. For some odd reason, I'm just stupid. It just reminded me of a Schwarzenegger shot. I don't know why, but something
cool.
very Arnold about it. But yeah, I was like, finally, he's here. We're gonna get some nitty gritty going on.
Yeah, did it take too long to get there? Do you feel like, or did?
No, because I think that's the thing. From all the lives and all the posting, I thought, again, subverting my expectations. I thought it was just going to be a lot of drag out combat, but getting to it, I was more actually drawn into this whole different world, and this characterization that I did not expect. I was actually very much engrossed in it, so engrossed in it that when this happened, I was like, oh, he's here. It was almost like I didn't remember that he was gonna be here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But when he got here, I was like, oh, here we go. But there's so much layers to it that I didn't expect. So when he got here, I was like, oh, here we go to a different layer, put it that way.
Yeah, Dennis, I definitely got the same thing too. I'm sorry, Dan. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say this is definitely this is the book in 4 acts. Your first few pages are character study. You're of the character in the world that he lives in, the hunter versus the prey. The second act being in the unreal, and getting that different part of the onion peeled back, and then we get into the slugfest. That it was the expectation, but I think a lot of the audience this is what we were going to be walking into. Is just this 24-page slugfest, and we get that. We do get that on 24 pages, but we do get that. Because how long can you really make a fight go? But and keep it interesting. But but yeah, we learned something more about the character, and I love the first line of Kung Fu Thulu, this wakey, hands off Snakey. I think it sets the tone for the character and what kind of a brazen dick that he truly is. And, and I think Casey and I, we kind of agreed. We went back and forth on Cthulhu a lot into how we talked and all of that. And
is it because you guys knew the lore, or is it or you guys had different aspects of the lore? Why did you guys go back and forth on Cthulhu?
Just who he is as a character, like how he would talk and present himself. And we wanted to nail it. We wanted to get his personality across on the page. And also because we have such a mute figure with Bigfoot, we kind of wanted to contrast that with someone who is like, you couldn't pay him to shut up. And he's physically incapable of not being a dickhead. And that's what we wanted with Kung Fu Thulu, but also we had kind of like navigating he lives underwater, kind of like would that come across in how he talks? And we spent way too much time, it's my stupid fault, going maybe he gasps after every statement, and then I wrote out a long thing, and Dan was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, oh, how he's like a fish out of water, so he
has asthma.
Yeah. And then I was like, that's just going to be so taxing on the reader when they're going through and going wakey, hands up, snake, and it's like, fuck me, dude, no.
And in the writing itself, but it was hurt. Is how it was. H-U-U-R-K is my hurt. And I was like, what the hell is hurt? We didn't argue at all through this book. You got to understand.
No. It was all very civil.
Okay. So it wasn't like a back and forth, no, that's not what he says. It was more like,
I don't think that we take this seriously, obviously.
Mhm.
We put a lot of work into this book, but I don't think we take it so seriously that it's going to be some argument between Casey and I on really anything. Now, I say that, we'll probably like blow up at each other initially.
No, y'all
Fuck
end
you,
up in
fuck you.
couples counseling.
Yeah. The bromance is all shot, you know.
I'll be crying in a corner, like, no.
Yeah.
Kat will be the one that's moderating the
I
counseling
will, because
session.
Yeah.
no, my two favorite bromancers are not gonna break up. Like, I
Right.
refuse. Like, you guys are my faves. But I'm like with Dennis, like I was so lost in who Bigfoot was, what was he doing, and then this female character, I'm like, oh my God, what is she gonna do? You know, and like I said, the first time I read it, I was like, damn, Bunny done betrayed him. Like I thought, you know, something else. So when the reveal of Cthulhu came up, I was like, oh shit, that's right, they did tell me he's gonna make an appearance. Like, yeah, I'm with you, Dennis, the 100%. I was so invested that I was just like, oh shit, that's right, type of moment.
Here, I'll shoot down to the next page, and here's the drama. Here's the
Yes.
drama.
Love
So this pretty drawn pretty early on, actually. This was one of the first, not one of the first drawings of Cthulhu, but you know, this was pretty early on, and I think it kind of tells the story of where he's coming from. Now, initially, we had Bigfoot much bigger in this page,
And
but
he
then,
was facing the other direction, I think. And
yeah,
I was like,
page
why would
was
he?
good.
So that was one thing where I was like, you know, put on my editor hat, and like also like he needs to be like way bigger, like Kung Fu Cthulhu, or the size relation needs to be much more drastic.
Yeah.
Which,
and you got to figure there's some space between the two of them here. You know, there's some distance between the two of them still, because as you can see later, you know, the size comparison between the two of them, I mean, he's big, you know, he's big. And but the character, what we landed on for character traits for personality was a cross between Max Cady from Cape Fear and Macho Man Randy Savage, I think is the best way to describe what he is. Also, there's the character, and I keep forgetting his name, from the Warriors, that go, can you dig it? That guy is also kind of a little, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, Cyrus or something. No, that's not it. Cyrus. And that was also kind of clouding my head. So when you did that Warriors piece, Dennis, for Convictor, I was laughing hard because I'm like, dude, I love it. Because I mean, I used to have a Baseball Furies poster up here, but I took it down. Yeah, that character. But I love Randy Savage. I love the intensity of Randy Savage. There was an interview when Randy Savage went from the WWF to the WCW, and Mean Gene Okerlund is interviewing Randy Savage, and he goes, "The Titan of power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey. Oh yeah!" I just thought that was so money, and I just thought that was so cool. So that definitely, no, the Tower of Power. I use the Titan here. The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey. Oh yeah! And so that definitely was on my mind when this text came together. Listen up, big boy. Prepare to cower to the Titan of power. For tonight, you shall feel the fury of Kung Fu Cthulhu. And so I had Randy Savage all up in my head in this portion of it. So, yeah.
I just love that he calls him a big boy, like.
Oh, throughout,
throughout. Like big boy. I'm like, oh, teasing him.
Teasing him hard. Yeah, well, he's the Bigfoot. He's the big boy. So, and and as we'll see, he got some names. So, people refer to him as different things. And so we'll get into that here in a little bit too. So shall I?
Yeah.
All right. Fun page to draw. I had a lot of fun with this. Okay.
Again, I just love the framing with the black instead of the cream color that you've been using, because it just represents the style is still the same, but it's the coloration for me that I'm just like, all right, we're getting into some shit now. Like,
the sun in the background as well. The coloration is chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. I love it. And we got to play with the sword again, with the reflection of the sword,
Mhm.
showing the adversary, or the subject matter, and in the line of fire, so to speak. And so that was cool. I was enjoying playing with that imagery, and just having fun with the word bubbles. Trying
That's just
to
amazing.
the sound effects. That just not too many, and I didn't make it large, but
Mhm.
a little foosh. Um, I hate sound effects. I hate coming up with sound effects. Coming up with, in Latex Avenger, you'd have spermicidal foam lad with these little foam guns. They would go splish and sploosh, and that was about as good as it got with the noises. And so this has been a bit of a challenge. I got to be honest with you, doing the lettering in the sound effects, just getting them to look good, but also to make the sounds not sound stupid. Splurt. I don't have a BAMP for a skint. You know what I mean? I don't got
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So you got foosh. So there you go.
So for me, this page, I wrote this page down as my favorite with the words.
Okay.
He speaks of fury. I know fury. Fury can bring victory, and fury can serve up defeat. And to me, that speaks a lot to me because I have anger issues. So that's why the Hulk resonates with me a lot.
Right.
But if you use your anger the right way, where you're not just not thinking about it, and you go in calculated, motivated, and going after the enemy, fueled by your fury in a proper way, you can bring down an enemy. Or if you go into it blindly and just fury, 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 you're going to end up getting your ass beat because you're not thinking properly. You're just actions before thoughts type of thing. And that's how I took this whole entire inner monologue. I'm like, dang, that's dope right there, because it does speak like you can use your anger and be calculated and bring down an enemy the proper way, or you may not think about it and use your anger, and next thing you know, you're on your ass. So that's how I took this this whole inner monologue, and I really, really dug this page for the wording of it all.
And
Right on.
that's Dan is
Good.
again like the king at really good inner monologues on here. My contribution to the page was a clutch dick joke, and
Yes.
to add some levity to it.
And I think that's
So-
great for Cthulhu, though. He does add levity to the story. I think he'll be the big kind of breakout of the issue, frankly. I think people are going to be attracted to the Cthulhu character. He's funny. He's fun, you know. So I think you nailed it with that, frankly. And plus, you
had a
paced this
blast.
damn thing anyway. So yeah, you had a lot to write in this page. So
Yeah.
please don't sell yourself short on that.
No, because even Cthulhu's words, like that actually made me chuckle, because I'm here like, damn, this fury shit is like deep, and then he's like, you both little pricks. I'm like, because I love a good potty joke. Like I'm
Sure.
all
There's
about
nothing
it.
to be scoffed at with a well-placed dick joke.
But I think that it's going to be funny, Casey, that when people I know read this book, they're like, Dan got a dick joke. And I'm like, I can get to go, Casey wrote that. I was
Yes.
good boy this issue. So I was
Well,
good one.
that was it. You're reading it, and I was like, oh, this is nothing like Latex Avenger. And then I read that one little blurb, and I'm like, oh, we're back to Dan. Like, I thought it was you.
That's all, Case. That's great.
Yeah. Well done,
That's
Casey.
cool.
Appreciate
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I wrote a lot with the pacing of this page. I had written a lot of stuff in there that I was like, how is Dan going to pull this off? I had to kind of pull back, I think, from the sequence that I wanted, because he was supposed to have like gone through like several trees, and then finally I was like, he only has so much space on this page.
Mhm.
So Dan really cut my bullshit out and like got to the essence of what needed to happen. And but what needed to happen was to show that, Bigfoot's a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Like
I
he can take a lick.
I hate drawing a lot of small panels, and I hate drawing a lot of panels to a page. I'm lazy. So, I'll just put that right out there. And so, just kind of, I wouldn't call what you wrote minutia or anything like that at all. You know what I mean? But just kind of getting down to the essence and a couple things. And thank you for giving me the freedom to do that. I mean, seriously, this has been such an odd collaboration, a good collaboration, but an odd collaboration because, we're co-writing, and so that's a different animal completely. I'm thankful for it. I'm glad that we have that kind of freedom to, you got to see our script notes, man. I mean, blue for me, red for him, black for what we settle on, I mean, so the script for this book was like 52 pages. You got to understand, it was huge. There was a lot of notes and a lot of just like theory and just like ideas of where we're going to take it, sides to where we're going in the future. There's a lot of little seeds planted through this book.
Wow.
And so to kind of propel us to things that are going to happen in like book 3 and 4, you'll see they come back around. So it's interesting for sure. I'm going to move on. So. Not what to say. This was, I mean, in all fairness, it was not my favorite page. I ended up drawing the page a couple of times, actually. Yeah, I did not. I had a hard time with this page. I like the anchor panel, but the other panels, I never really felt like they came along the way they needed to. But
what do you like? Just like the feel of it or the look of it?
I thought he was a little cartoony in panel 2. It's just look, John Romita Jr. kind of made a really good point years ago about you got your style that you want, you got your style that makes your deadline, and somewhere along the way you develop a style that works for both. Sometimes you got to go, fuck it, I got a deadline, and you got to let things go. This is one of those pages I kind of let go, where I said, all right.
Being your worst own critic?
Sure.
He's hard on himself for sure.
I mean, but I don't know an artist who isn't. I don't know an artist who's not worth their weight in salt that isn't. I'm not saying I'm any prize, but I think that be honest with yourself, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, know when you screw up, I mean, if you think everything you do is awesome, then I think you're fooling yourself, I think the latest thing you draw should be the best thing you drew, personally. It doesn't always work that way, but that's the goal. So is to get him to that point. But I mean, like, I did enjoy drawing that anchor panel. I thought the Cthulhu kick was fun, and the little Bigfoot shooting through the air. Whee! He's having a good time. And so I enjoyed that for sure.
Okay.
I like the you could actually see the scale, of him against Kung Fu Zoo, like a real good interpreting, like, oh man, like the scale is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
I think I'd actually written a note about that. And he adjusted the scale.
Oh yeah.
So that was it, and it paid off dividends because Dennis noticed. So
yeah, it really put more perspective of like, oh shit, like the villain is just monstrous, more so than the splash page when you saw him like first coming out of the water. And then it's funny because as I went through the book the couple of times, I started to see Dan's kind of artistic things he leans on, or his habits he uses. It's really cool. Things like use of silhouettes, your opacity. There was another one where I saw and I was like, okay, I see Dan's kind of like his style. It's really cool just seeing your style from page to page. And the other thing was, there's a couple of things. You mentioned the word philosophy. I love the fact that was one of the words I'd written down as I was reading it. It was right on. And I'm a big panel counter. I know it sounds really strange, but I love counting panels on a page and how much you're telling the story through the not minimal amount of panels, but so far, Dan, I think your max is 6 panels per page. That's your highest count I got you at.
Dang, he was like 6. Yeah. Maxed out at 6.
6, motherfucker. Because I saw them threes. He lazy
it was like
shit.
I think it was 3 pages or maybe 2 pages with 6 panels. So it's cool. I'm a big fan of like not over paneling. But I just your art style, I'm noticing more and more just sitting here with you now. Little things are starting to stick out even more and more.
That's dope.
Yeah, I did those little curly cues on their knuckles. You notice that? I don't know. I mean,
I do now.
There's the 6. It looks like a 6 on that knuckle right there.
Funny. Yeah, that's too funny. I mean, there are, look, every artist, I think, I mean, I think my shit's weak as hell, but that's because I'm the one who's doing it. And I lean on things, and you'll get to silhouettes later. Yeah, I was in a hurry. I mean, it's like, how do you set, you can set mood into it too by using the silhouettes, and also kind of drawing back that this is not the most important thing in the panel by using the silhouette, that there's more important things going on that you want their eye to focus to. I mean, I've said this before on podcasts. I'm a graphic designer, dude. If you were like, you took a starving man and gave him a chicken, like a whole chicken, they would break that. They would eat every single morsel of that piece of chicken, down into the rib meat and all of that, busting open the bones and sucking out the marrow.
Yeah.
That in essence is a graphic designer to me. You will pull every single piece of artwork that you did. You will apply it in there. You will make it work. Nothing goes to waste. And so there are things that were little scrap drawings that I would like, oh, this will work well into this panel, or and that sort of thing. I just applied everything I could get my hands on. So yeah, I mean, it's funny, like the blood spatter in half the book is like the same piece of blood splatter that I just moved around different clipping masks and stuff like that. Okay, I need this part because it's like, it's going, and I'm like, well, this little over here will look good coming out of his eyeball, and I mean, I sucked the marrow out of them damn bones. I took it all, damn it. So anyway,
Love it.
yeah. All right, here we go. And frankly, this was one of my favorite pages in the book.
Oh, yeah.
I thought this showed got a lot of movement and action. Go ahead, Kat. You were going to say something. I'm sorry.
Actually, I was going to say this is the second art page that I wrote down as my second favorite, and it's because of that slash panel where he goes translucent to you can physically like see him. I liked that because a lot of times when you're reading a comic and you see a movement like that, it's not a fade to the actual end shot. They look the same, just in a different motion. So I like that you use like a translucent beginning shot and then a physical end shot. And I love that slash. To me, it's just like, oh my God, it's so different. It's just not like any other action motion that you see in regular comics. And I love it so much.
Right on. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I like, my part that I dug was that last panel where you got just the bloodshed coming out of that tentacle, and the tones, trying to show the size comparison and the movement of like the tentacle falling, and he's falling with it, and just the blood everywhere, and just kind of showing that moment where Cthulhu's just in absolute pain. To me, that was a lot of fun, but you also get to see the size comparison, how big that he is within the tentacles, showing, and making the point up close. He's up close. Those tentacles are a lot less effective. So he goes in tight and, does the damage up close. There was a scene in like, what was it, The Last Starfighter or something like that, or where he's like, you got to get in close, or it was one of the Star Wars movies or something. Got to get in close and get those turrets, because they can't, they're not going to shoot at their own ship. It was kind of the same thing. He's not going to try and attack his own body while Bigfoot's in there, chopping up stuff with a sword. So that was cool in and of itself. But yeah, all right. So
I like how it's drawn to the foreground on the bottom panel. But yeah, on to 19.
Yeah, on to 19. So okay.
This is where it's like.
I was okay. So when I wrote this sequence, I was really, I was worried that it would be a little cartoony, but I also wanted to the idea of like, how would somebody who like not even a tenth the size of somebody else be able to bring them literally to their knees? How would you be able to fight someone that could literally squish you like a bug? And it was kind of one of those things where you have the character of Kung Fu Thulu, who is just a cocky bastard and automatically thinking the battle is won. when he, he picks him up and ostensibly eats him. And also though we know that that our Bigfoot guy is tough as nails. So I really wanted to kind of subvert your expectations with this page when you go like, holy shit, that just happened. And then on the bottom panel, the very last panel, the look in his eyes, I think Dan played that off like beautifully.
Yeah.
So, and that how bad do you want out? When the chips are down, when things are looking awful, what are you willing to do to extricate yourself from that situation? And we're gonna find out, because like it's already apparent that Kung Fu Thulu is going to kill him. There's no other recourse. So like you better react with an opposite, but equal reaction.
So when I got to this page, it's one of those, I'm glad you guys didn't hand me everything in one sitting type of thing, because I was expecting like an Aliens moment where Bigfoot comes out from his stomach, like, surprise, bitch, I'm here. Like, I thought that's literally what was going to happen. I'm like, oh, because for me, that last shot was like, oh, he's got an upset stomach because Bigfoot's going to come out like slashing his stomach open. So, going on to the next page, that's when I'm just like, oh shit, I was wrong. Damn, that's crazy. Like, you know what I mean? So I definitely like, again, this speaks to the whole don't give me everything in one take type of thing.
And I just like a little bit of comedy in those last three panels. Just the nom nom nom, the he, and the and the oh shit. I mean the juxtaposition between what Bigfoot is narrating versus what Cthulhu's reality at that moment are very different from each other. And as we can see and get in here, it's just, we didn't go through his chest, but we went out, how badly did you want out? And he wanted out. So here we go. So
and this is like, I literally jumped back. I was like, oh shit. And my husband was like, what? I was like, nothing. There's nothing to see here. Nothing.
And this whole sequence is about pacing. And like, I really was adamant that it be paced just right, and Dan nailed it. And like this is like we're both kind of on the same wavelength for sure. And it proofs in the pudding right here.
Dennis, it looked like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, well, even on page 19 when you had that expression on the last panel, I just remember reading it, and when I saw that panel, and Casey kind of was it cartoony? Something about it was a little bit. But the funny thing I thought was really cool is if I didn't again see the words, you heard the sound effect from his eyes. Like he was almost like almost like a Shaggy Doo, like Raggy Doo, like like something just went down his throat, and he's like just from his eyes alone. And it actually said that in my head of like something was cool like that. And I love that last panel because it spoke so much from a single silly panel. And then when I got here, what I loved about this is my second favorite panel in the book, is this POV shot of Bigfoot coming out of the eye. It could have been done so many different ways. This way worked, I thought, perfectly. Like you can actually see how deep that crater is behind him. And the fact that I think it would have been easy or more kind of a cliche to have the eyeball pop out. But the fact that it was dangling around by its stem is genius. Something so stupid and so that's I like, because automatically you just think this monster has this eyeball like flopping around. Just something so simple, again, just done very well. But yeah, my second favorite panel, that bottom panel, from that point of view, love it.
Yeah, definitely, because it is kind of cliche to have like the eyeball just fully pop out, and then just seeing the tendons and whatnot, just like I'm like, oh, that's marvelous. Like I'm not a gore person, like I'm not into gore, but I just appreciate, again, proportions, realism, like the eye's not gonna fully pop out. It's just ding, ding, ding.
So I had a link to a GIF on the script for this from a film called Un Chien Andalou, which an Andalusian dog. The music from it was it's from a short film that was composed by Richard Wagner, and it was a Salvador Dali film, and it was like so disturbing. I was walking my dog through the woods, and finally I heard Dan just in the background go like, God damn it. And I just saw I was looking at the script and I saw it just blink out of existence. The GIF in the script that I'd linked, because it was on loop. So it was just showing this lady getting her eyeball sliced open. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was a bit much. So, but yeah, I deleted
that shit. Deleted it right on out of there. Couldn't handle it anymore.
I think I got my point across, and he nailed it.
Yeah.
It was a fun page to draw. I mean, this was the all out, just like ridiculous, over the top, fun as hell. I mean, and yeah, I like the little tendon or with a vein or I don't know what it is holding the eyeball still in place. I thought it was fun. But this is the closest thing you get to Bigfoot really talking is in panel 2 when he screams big old key eye out. I mean, and it's kind of off panel because you can't see him, but that's the most verbal I think he gets in this issue. So yeah. So and then
the
I
second
don't know.
panel, see? The eyeball in the second panel, just flopping around.
Just flopping around.
Just flopping around.
I like that. I like that fourth panel though, where he's just jumps into the water and he's like, but and that eyeball and that blood, and then you got the geyser still coming out of his tentacle. I mean, so. A lot of blood, he could be covered a little bit more in it, but this is a comic book, so you gotta suspend disbelief. I mean, it is a Cthulhu fighting a Bigfoot, so we gotta, So anyway, but this was no fun page to draw, and it gets us right up into the leads up into the big pressure moment. So, do y'all want to keep going on this page, or can we move on to the next one?
Let's keep going.
Yeah, because I think this is where it kind of gets to be high intensity at this point right here. Fuck, I had fun drawing this, and we knew, I mean, like, okay, so we went back and forth on this page, a little bit, trying to figure out how to get him. How do you beat the damn bastard? He's huge, right? How do you do it? And this was when we came up with this little device here with the narration in the blue and the red. To get him to the next spot. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a really good way to introduce the new characters that were about to come in. And I mean, at one point, I mean, like he's drowning, obviously, Cthulhu's just drowning him under the water and he's dead. I mean, he's by all intents and purposes, he's dead. And we get this, we're losing him, sir. It's your call, Mr. Lancaster, live or die. And then we get this Lancaster, whoever he is, and activate him, soldier. Activate him now.
Another slow moment for me, because I'm like, okay, these wordings are so different. They're looking like computer, and then it's like, it's your call, Mr. Lancaster. I'm like, is Bigfoot's name Mr. Lancaster? Like they named him Mr. Like that can't be it. And then like I'm reading the red, I'm like, who's activating what? What's happening? Like I was just like questioning so many things. I was like, what is going on? I don't know what's happening.
And so, that's what we wanted. And we also kind of wanted to tip off, like, this isn't just a fight between two people. This is there are observers to this battle right now, and they're going to be taking, kind of controlling the outcome.
Dennis, as somebody who, I was just going to say, as somebody who does artwork, how did you take this whole?
Well, again, to that control part, this is where I thought the foreshadowing came from. Like, that's where I was like, oh, there was someone else controlling this whole interaction and him to begin with. And when I saw the eyes turn red and I saw the red font, and when we get to the next page, I lost my shit. That was my big oh shit moment. And I always have, it's always cool when you have a good oh shit moment when a comic, because most comics, you're kind of used to what's happening. But that was when I turned the page, I was like, that was my first oh shit moment. But that was my biggest oh shit moment, let me put it that way. No, again, just the water effects were great. Again, took me to a different, like, I actually thought like how, like, as he went in the water, I go, shit, how is he going to get out of this? Like, there was no, oh, he's going to do this or he's going to do that. It was like, oh no, what is he going to do?
Yeah.
But yeah, just great. I want you to turn the page because I want to talk about this.
Dennis,
Yeah, let's
turn
go.
this page. Let's do it.
Oh
So-
shit! Like he
Yeah.
says right up at the top.
Wait. Oh, and this is when I text you, Dan. I said, no fucking way. This is
Okay,
I
this
literally-
is what you were texting me about. Okay,
right.
got
This is why it was like, no fucking. He went full blown Jet Jaguar Goliath on him, and I was like, no way. And you know, something just again, just so cool. That he's now a gigantic Bigfoot. I love. That's why I was like, no fucking way. And again, didn't see it coming. But just such a cool thing. And then my mind's still racing that someone's controlling him. Someone did this to him, and he doesn't even understand it. And then just the phrases that his muscles are stretching and things like that. Like, again, there was a visceral feel to it. Just a great panel. And again, that's why I lost my shit on this. I was like, God damn. Well done, Casey. Just didn't see it coming.
I forgot that you did
thank
mention that the wording had you thinking that something else was a foot. So yeah.
I was really worried about like introducing this as something, as a possibility of what he could do. But also it was another thing where it was like he's on such an uneven playing field. We wanted to kind of demonstrate that the powers that be can change that with a click, like literally a click of a button. So it was a really fun sequence to write for sure.
I would like to say this page was a pain in the ass.
Sorry.
Oh, I mean, no. It came out great. I was happy with it. But this was, okay, you got to understand, I put this, there is no physical page for this. I mean, I draw digitally, but there is no one page of artwork for this. This is like
You went through several
pages.
sequences.
Yeah, this is like 4 different pages pasted together in Photoshop.
Interesting.
So, like, I mean, every Bigfoot in that first panel, there's 5 different layers in my Photoshop file, one for each of them, and then there's another for their effects too. So it's like, so there's like 10 layers just in the big feet alone, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 different big feet. So there's like 10 layers just to build the Bigfoot of created artwork that was already made in Illustrator. I had to bring into Photoshop. So like a lot of these pages, there's a lot of different layers within Photoshop. Like I'll draw the page out in Illustrator and then I'll extract different layers out and I'll lay them into Photoshop as I need them to layer up with the colors, opacity changes, things like that, effects. So this was a mother of a hell of a page to do. But I love doing it. I mean, because it was so different than what I would have expected to happen. And I just had a blast doing it. When we came up with this idea, I don't remember which one of us came up with this, doesn't matter.
I was kind of like, bear with me, man.
Yeah.
Just
whatever.
kind of
We're gonna make him big. So we had fun
for me,
with it.
I was still sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, for me, when I first read it, I was still having that slow moment because I had no idea who the hell was in the blue and the red. So when this happened, I was like, "What the fuck? Is he radioactive? Like, is this radioactive Bigfoot? Like, what is happening?" Like, I was still in that, like, what is going on? Like, I don't know, but I love it. Like, let's go. Like, I knew.
These
I
are
was just
gamma
like,
rays right here. These are gamma
yeah, exactly. I was
rays.
like, what just happened?
No, there's no gamma rays, but yeah.
No.
So there's definitely some stuff happening here. So he gets to, and I love, there's something so satisfying about the 4th panel at the bottom where it's just like crack, crack, crack. And he's just, you can tell he's just pummeling the dude. And like, you know, in this situation, he's definitely taking advantage of the situation and, you know, getting his licks in when he can. So
I don't know if it was purposeful wordplay, but opportunity is knocking as he's I was like, freaking genius. Like I
noticed that too.
Yeah.
A couple of good puns in here, I'd say.
Yeah.
So, and then, you know, and then finally we lose the eye, which I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
That was Dan, right? 100% right there.
It was
laughed
so
when I saw
goofy,
that.
but yeah. So I had fun with that. And then just, you know.
Panel 2.
Yeah, this was fun.
I asked Dan, I said, is there any way we could like fuck up Bigfoot for a little while. Like I
Yeah.
wanted, if he's gonna take a good lick, I want it to show later on in the book. And so when he got his face like that, I wanted to ensure like it's not just gonna be for one panel. This is gonna be for a while. We're gonna see he's gonna be marked for a while at least.
We have kind of a theory in the book that damage counts. Damage counts, and that, you know, so when he gets hurt, you know, that's going to show for a long time. It's not going to be like, oh, he's fine in this issue, and the next issue he's like, hey, everything's hunky dory.
It'll be
you know,
like the first few issues of Spawn where there's like a power thing on there, and you see how much power he's used, and then later on we're just going to complete about it for, you know, completely. We're going to forget about it and not say anything else about it forever.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
You know, we're gonna tie him up with. We're gonna soap his face with shoelaces. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We're just make him king of the hobos.
Yeah, I love it. So, but this was fun, and I love the fourth panel. Like Casey was just like, just get him, you know, hurt, you know, and just pulling on him. Yeah, just pulling on that tentacle and just, you know, he's starting to run and get that your ass back here. You know, I almost thought of what was the Scorpion in Mortal Kombat? Get over here.
Get over here.
Yeah,
Nice.
get over here.
Nice.
That's what I was thinking about when I was drawing it. Just get over here. So that was fun. I'm gonna
on the 25
to the next one. So, but this was this top panel was fun because this was all Karate Kid Part 2 right here. This was live or die. You know, he's got him. You know, live or die.
It's genius.
Yeah, that was my total thought of as that was happening. I was like, got him by the, you know, I you know, it took a lot to just not make him go honk at the end there. So anyway. But
I love the eye to eye panel. It's very Western, you know, that
that's
like,
100% Dan.
Yes. I loved this panel so much. I was like, that is so dope. Just having that, and then having them like side by side instead of like up and down, or I loved it so much. I was like, that's dope.
I had fun painting these panels. I really kind of painted those panels a little bit more than I do cell shading and that sort of thing. And that kind of artwork starts to take a little bit of a twist because of that. I can paint some things in a bit more, and I started doing that, and I'm like, it doesn't really look like the first pages anymore. But oh well, people will hopefully respect that there was some art growth as we went along. So,
panel 4, I really appreciate the kind of silhouette of Kung Fu Thulu's head. I really liked that, and I was conflicted as to the finality of what we're doing to that character.
Yeah.
I was really worried. I didn't know, you know, if it would be too extreme, but I knew he had to go down. So
I think you gotta make your lead, you know, your main character, especially this guy, you gotta make him strong. You know, you gotta show him strong. And, you know, I think it was gonna have to be almost a definitive win to show the strength and the wherewithal of the Bigfoot character, that he, you know, that he could push through any situation and make it work and come out on top. But you know, as we go to the next page, you know, we're going to find out that, you know, things are not always what they seem.
And let me chime in on just before you turn the page. The fact that when I saw the top panel, I couldn't place it. Like I knew I seen it, and the fact that it's Pat Morita is pissing me off, but it's perfect.
Why is it pissing you off?
Because I recognize it. I'm like, there's something so familiar about this, but you nailed it. It's just hilarious now. But well done there. That's great. And again, just knowing your style, a lot of silhouette work, good stuff. Yeah, great stuff.
It was fun. It was a blast to do for sure. Can I go to the next one, Kat?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So we lose Cthulhu in this scene, and then, you know, this was the, you know, I think we were calling it like the Perseus shot. almost, when he's got, when Perseus has
he's the head.
the head, we didn't mimic that completely.
You drew this like 4 times.
Yeah, this page got drawn a few different
lot.
ways. I was not liking what happened. But and I mean, I still have qualms with this page too. This was another one of those. Okay, just kind of get through it and go on to the next one. But I like the ferocity of the Bigfoot character in that top panel. I think that shows his I mean, like his word bubble said. But there's a juxtaposition too about what is he saying versus his animal instincts that are really out there now. He's coated in the crimson mask. He's a bloody mess. But he's owning it. He's owning the situation, and then shrinks back down again without his control. He has no control over it. So
also, I wanted Dan to kind of throw a bone to the furry crowd by showing a little extra skin, and I got shot down on this page.
Yeah, no furries.
Travesty.
Hey, live your life and have fun.
Knee slapper. It's canon. It's knee slapper.
There you
go. Going on to 27.
Yeah.
This page to me was probably my favorite page to draw. And I'll tell you why. Because I drew this son of a bitch months ago. Months ago, and I put him in my Instagram. And I dropped him in Instagram, and I didn't say a word. People liked it and comments and didn't say where it was coming from or what it was. And I left out the tentacles too. But this was the moment I'd been waiting for in the book. So we'll get to the reveal of this guy right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dennis, how did you feel when you got to this point?
The artwork, as far as a lot more black and reds, reminded me a lot of Jim Lee Deathblow, a lot more Frank Miller.
Yeah.
So that trends.
There you go.
And you'll see a lot with a lot of the indie books where you see the art you really start seeing that pacing getting better and better page for page. Another perfect example. It's not even a perfect example of like it getting better, but just a tone. But yeah, I saw this even the page before. I was just like Deathblow, Frank Miller, like written all over it. A lot of use of blacks, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I loved Tim Sale's run on Deathblow. I loved I love Sin City. I mean, I just like Tim Sale, period. Frank Miller. I mean, just generally I like their stuff. But yeah, I mean, this is when the colors just kind of dissipated out of it. And
pay
I think
attention to the
tone.
eyes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. For me, it's the expression of before I gain true momentum, I'm frozen by some wizard's trick, and I'm like, yo, that's like legit. Because before, when he first faced Cthulhu, he said I should feel fear, but I feel ready instead, or something along those lines. So he didn't have fear there, but this is the first time like you actually see, oh shit, like he's scared, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dan really drove it home with his facial expression here. I was over the moon with it. And panel 4 on this page where he's face to face with the man in black, which is kind of what we call him in this issue.
But no, I mean, we did reveal his name in this issue.
Yeah.
We did reveal it.
Okay,
his name is Grisha, and Grisha is Hungarian, and that the name Grisha is Hungarian, and the name actually comes from my grandfather was a musician. He played the violin professionally, saxophone, clarinet. He did it all. And one of the members of his band was named Grisha Farfel, and Grisha was a trumpet player, I believe. And Grisha was a stout little Jewish man who just was the life of the party, and I loved his name. I just thought the name Grisha was fantastic, and we had been calling him the Man in Black in the script. We just didn't have a name for him, and finally I landed on Grisha. At one point, his name was Braden, I think, and Casey said he sounds like a 7-year-old white kid from the suburbs, and I just thought that shit was funny.
Very
as hell.
soap opera baby.
Yeah. Braden, I got you a Go-Gurt in the car. It's time to go to soccer practice, you little shithead.
So Braden was gone. Braden was out of here, and I dropped Grisha on Casey, and Casey went, "That's perfect." And so,
Yeah.
we can play with the Hungarian mob ties and things like that. I think
Mhm.
that'll be a lot of fun to get into his character later on. But the name of a character that I was most excited to get to reveal was Bigfoot, and that he actually has a name, and his name is Benny.
Benny, yeah.
Benny.
Which
Mhm.
And
again, because I was still on this Mr. Lancaster, and I'm like, his name's Benny Lancaster. Like that's such
Benny
a
Link.
such a unique name for
Yeah.
like Bigfoot. Because I
No.
remember people, I'm like a little. So I was just like, what is happening? Like I was still like trying to piece everything together. So when I read the Benny, I was like, Benny Lancaster, like that's so dope. They gave him like a regular first and last, like
Yeah. Just Benny. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna just zoom in for a second,
Yeah.
if I can here. We're now getting into what shit? What to do? We're now getting into our third triangle. If you look on Grisha's chest,
Oh, on his
this is
chest, yeah.
this is our third triangle. So
Nice.
let me get that back to form there. So we had so Benny, and I just want to get into the history of Benny and why Benny. So for anybody who doesn't know, and probably that's all y'all because I don't ever talk about it really in this world, I produced theater in Austin here for about 10 years with a gentleman named Shannon Weaver and a woman named Melissa Livingston, and we were called a Chicken and Dude Productions. And we did original theater for what we always laughed because remember TVS used to have movies for guys who like movies.
Oh
And
yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
so we did what we called theater for guys who like theater, who don't like theater. And so we did and so Melissa was actually our director. She could direct a man like no other. I mean, she just understood the nuances, how to direct a character, direct an actor, and amazing. And one of our first pieces that we did was called Hit. Okay, and Hit, if you ever go through my Instagram, you can actually find pages of some concept work I was doing for Hit to turn it into a comic, and that will probably be the next thing I do after Bigfoot Knows Karate. I will be working on an adaptation of the play Hit into a comic book. But there was a MacGuffin in the play. Two hitmen go to do the same job on the same guy at the same time. Problem is, the guy never showed up, and his name was Benny. Okay, and his name was Benny, and Benny never showed up through the play.
Waiting for Godot, but it's Hitman.
Very waiting for Godot in that regard. No, I mean it doesn't play on it all, but yeah, I mean, hey, I'm a Beckett fan. So anyway, but the Benny never showed up, which always got me thinking because you got this Bigfoot you can't see, and this character in this play who never shows up, and so the writer of the play and I are very good friends, and we got to talking. I was like, because he said to me, "You got a name for your Bigfoot?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "What is it?" And I said, "Benny." And he goes, "Benny?" And I said, "Yeah," because Benny was here, and that's something that we ran through every play that we ever did. Somewhere on the set was hidden the phrase "Benny was here" because we had it written on the original set for Hit, and so we had Benny in the small little world that myself and Shannon Weaver, the writer of Hit, kind of exist in. Bigfoot Knows Karate and Hit are in the same little universe as our stupid joke that will never actually come to fruition in any comic book shape or form, but it's just our stupid little joke. And I wanted the most elusive character in the history of indie theater to make his way over to Bigfoot Knows Karate, and that is why Benny's named Benny in this book. Has no relation to anything in the story, but that's just one of those director's commentary notes that you get to drop in there. So that's where that came from.
That's dope.
And that's Benny. So
I love it.
So the fear grabs the air, in the air grabs my hold of my lungs. God damn it, Benny. He flips the page, and that strange knife is revealed, and then the inevitable stabbing in the back. And I expected more out of you. And this was a fun, convoluted page to draw, but it was a fun page to draw nonetheless. So we got to see the ferocity of both characters, I felt like, come out here. One out of malice and the other out of instinct. And I think the story the thing about this story is it starts so small in scale, and then we're to this thing where this guy's stabbing him in the back with the sword, with a knife that is Egyptian in its origin. If you go back and look at like the knife style, that is an Egyptian knife that we're playing with there. So you would not know that from the dialogue in the story, but again, director's commentary, we get to drop a little extra down on you guys. But
we'll
you know,
get
like
into
I said,
that later issues for sure.
yeah, absolutely. But we start so small with a bunny and clash with a wolf, and now all of a sudden blow darts are being shot at him, and so the scale of the story is just growing exponentially, kind of like Bigfoot when he went over Cthulhu, and that seemed, I mean, the scale of the story is just growing now, and it's starting to take those twists and turns that we really wanted to get into. So
yeah.
Let's go on to the next page.
Sure.
Right now we're kind of this back and forth between Reynolds, the soldier, and Grisha. Dan's really good at quick dialogue. I think Dennis brought that up earlier. He liked his witty dialogue. We kind of had to pare that down a little for this, but it was I think we dropped a lot of info in this scene specifically, in their little conversation, and also kind of give you hope that maybe this is not the last time you see Kung Fu Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Glue the big sardine's head back on his body, tape, staples. Exactly. I want that freak fight ready. He's a Cthulhu, sir. Couldn't give a fuck. So and also you see the size relation in between of people and Kung Fu Cthulhu. Oh my gosh, he's huge. So it's going to take an army to move that guy.
Yeah.
So, and then at the bottom of the page, Grisha's kind of talking to Kung Fu Cthulhu, or to Bigfoot, and saying, "I knew you couldn't do it on your own." And he's pissed. So he's pissed that somebody kind of stepped in on this fight. So there's a lot going on here, and as we go deeper in the story, a little bit more is going to be revealed what the full context of this fight is about.
Yeah, for me, it's the whole sew Benny up, but leave his mind open. We're gonna tinker. I'm like, what are they gonna do to his brain?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What's happening?
We're gonna
like, that's
tinker.
yeah, that's the big. I'm like, what? Oh my God, what are they doing? And then it goes into what have they done already to him? Like, is this like this can't be the first go around because of the way they had that dialogue. So I'm like, dang, what have they done to him? And that's how my thought process went. I'm like, oh my God, what are they gonna do to him? And then I was like, oh shit, wait a second. What have they already done to him? Like, what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to wonder why he doesn't talk now.
Yeah.
Maybe that has something to do with the previous fight.
So yeah, no, I mean, I think this page opens up a lot of questions, and I think this was necessary to propel us over to the next issue, frankly, is to, this is the time where you want to ask a lot of questions to the audience and get their minds going. And I had a blast drawing this, I mean, you talked about the silhouettes and stuff earlier, Dennis. I mean, yeah, I started going silhouette crazy, especially since, I mean, like at this point, I didn't have any time. I was hauling ass through these pages. And so you get one good helicopter. Hey, that helicopter will work. You get that over. But I had fun with the silhouettes. I think it made sense, especially since the sun is going down and and we're trying to create a mood. And I want, Grisha to be, I mean, he's immersed in shadows, and I want that to kind of, give way to the to kind of just the mood and the feeling of who he is and what the energy he's bringing to the table. But yeah, I mean, he's pissed. I knew you couldn't beat him, not on your own. I mean, so you're like, so this was all very premeditated, so there's a lot happening here. But I love the big Cthulhu head in the background. I thought that was a lot of fun. You can see the scale going in there, and just had fun with the backgrounds, all the colors and the shapes going on in the backgrounds, and just trying to show some movement. So yeah.
Listen,
Dennis, you and I have different thought process when it came to reading the books. I'm a little on the slower side. You're a little on the keeping up with the uptake. But I want to know your thoughts on this whole big reveal when everybody's like coming through.
Yeah, there was a couple of things. One, I was happy to see that Kung Fu Cthulhu is coming back. So I was like, thank God, like they're gonna patch him together with some staples. Like, cool. He's not the end all, like he's coming back. So that made me feel like awesome. Two, Grisha's such an asshole. Like at the last time, I was like, wow, what an asshole.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like it pounded it in. Like I literally was just like, you felt that disdain. I'm like, God, he's a fucking asshole. So I thought that was great. Like it just felt it right then and there, and and it was natural. It was, again, like you said, organic. It doesn't have to be said. He just even the pose, how he's over him like a dick. I was like, all right, what an asshole. I love the silhouettes down in the helicopters. I love the Apocalypse Now feel to it. I think it's great, dude. It's so
Thank
good.
you. I couldn't remember the movie. I'm like, I know I've seen it. What is
It's
it?
so
Thank you,
Apocalypse
Apocalypse
Now.
Yeah, thank you so much,
It's
Dennis.
so
That's
funny that
driving me
you should
nuts.
say that. It's so funny you should say that, because early on we had a phrase in the comic that we never used it, but it was in our notes. Casey, you remember our Apocalypse Now throwback we were gonna do?
Well, refresh me, man.
Oh yeah, no, you had him say because Bigfoot don't surf.
Oh
yeah. But we did ditch that, but it was something that came up when we were writing this sequence, was the Apocalypse Now like feel to it,
Yeah.
that again, that's like kind of that weird ominous desperation that was in that movie.
Yeah.
I like to think about comics like a movie. I mean, a movie you can do on a budget, and the widescreen, the big cinematic, the big, just the expanse of the whole thing, how big it can get, and just having fun with that. So
thank you, Dennis, because it was driving me nuts. I was like, I know I've seen this in a movie. What movie is it? What movie? And I couldn't pinpoint it. So thank you.
No, you nailed it, dude. That's fantastic. So
you could hear like the the rotors, like the thump thump thump, when you just see the picture. And then lastly, just Solid Snake over here. Pretty hilarious. Look at Solid Snake doing in here.
Solid Snake.
Solid Snake, yeah.
Metal
Gear.
Reynolds.
Yeah, Metal Gear right there. Yeah.
There was originally a line in that panel that said he says, I need the whole place disinfected, no trace. And he's like, and Reynolds says, you could baptize Satan in this lake by the time we're done with it. But we just didn't have the room to make it, fit. And Casey made the right choice to chop it out. But it was there was a line that I liked it, but I understood why it had to go. We were losing helicopters at that point, and there was just too many words on the page. Just too many words on the page.
Let's hit 30.
Do it. So and as far as he's down for the count, and as far as Grisha just being a prick, I think that shines through pretty hard right here. One last thing, you useless piece of meat, just punches him a couple extra times, and what I thought was interesting here was, if you look at his back, what you thought was
triangle.
But what you thought was his just these tentacles off his body. If you see it, it's actually a piece of machinery back there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to play into the character a little bit more later on.
And his psychology.
Yeah, his psychology. I mean, the psychology of these characters is so important. What makes them tick? What makes them move? And and a line that Casey wrote here. At the end of the day, it's better to be the predator than run with the hunted. And then, and then my thought was, I always said he was going to say payback's bitch, Ben. So, there's a lot of history between Grisha and Benny. There's a lot of,
that's one of the things that stood out, was like the whole payback's a bitch thing. And I was like, whoa, so is he really the bad guy and he's just feeling sour, or did, Benny do something and he's just like, we're not friends now. That kind of was like making me question the whole situation, because if it's payback, then what are we paying back? The bad guy and he's just sour over a loss, or were they friends at one point and Benny did something? I'm like reading too much into it.
It'll
That's what it
we'll
was
get
like.
into that for sure. The Run with the
Absolutely.
Hunted line was
Okay.
based off of my favorite book by is gosh, my brain is left me right now.
Is it anything by
Charles,
Michael Crichton? Can we
no,
just start?
Charles
Bukowski.
yeah, Charles Bukowski. It's my favorite book by Charles Bukowski, Run with the Hunted. And it kept kind of popping up in my head as we were writing this, because there's so much between like being a predator, being a prey. And so that was kind of my, like, a tip of my hat to him. He was an asshole, but he wrote some good stuff.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
there's a good song about him by Modest Mouse, and one of the refrains in the song is, "Why does he got to be such an asshole?"
Well, one of the things
so-
that made me question is the framing too, because this is not black framing around him. It's the cream color. So I'm like, have I been like, manipulated into thinking a certain way, or was it done because everything else is black? Like, but that can't be, because when we're with the enemies, the framing is black. You know what I mean? So like that's part of the reason why I'm questioning
That's
this
really
guy's.
astute. That's cool. I mean,
Yeah, I'm
honestly,
weird like
you
that.
took it to a different level for me, and I really like it. Honestly, that was an aesthetic choice.
Okay.
That was an aesthetic choice. Now, I mean, as far as Grisha, is he a good guy, bad guy? No, he's a dick.
he's awful.
Such a dick. He's just the worst of the worst. Shall I move on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This was a page that I had a blast just conceptualizing what it would look like with these. How do how would you remove this body? How would you get rid of it? And the big nets off the copters to me were a lot of fun. I thought that was just different. I don't know if it was the fucking comic book, so I don't know if it would seriously be able to work, but 3 helicopters taking a head away, but I don't know if that would work, but you gotta, again, suspense of disbelief, damn it, so. But this is really interesting, because by this point Grisha's on his phone and he's talking, and we're learning a lot about the situation.
Mhm.
So we now meet Level. We know it's Grisha is his name, and we know that Lancaster, who you mentioned earlier, Kat, is not Benny.
Yeah.
It's now we realize there's another person behind the whole thing, pulling some strings,
Yeah.
and and he so and this is like some bar bet almost, in a way. There's a bet going between Grisha and
Mhm.
Lancaster, and there's money riding on it. And frankly, I always like the phrase, "And chill the crystal, I'm thirsty."
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. My wife mentioned there was another a newer champagne that's out now that's even more popular than Cristal, but I didn't know the name of it. Frankly, Cristal
I'm a
has some
PBR
cachet
man,
to it.
so
Yeah,
I drink whatever is put in front of me.
Okay, so I'm a tequila guy myself. So but yeah, so we get into this bet, and the and kind of the terms of what the angst between Grisha and Lancaster, because he says you can tell Lancaster's is bullshit. He changed the rules midway, and
Mhm.
Lancaster was the one who activated Benny. But to Grisha's chagrin, because I mean he's the hunter at this point. Grisha's taken the role of the hunter, and and doing that, working with Cthulhu as an agent, in this whole situation. I think that you've got a very disgruntled Grisha, and he feels a little worked against him from his own forces, so to speak. So something that will a little wrinkle there that will come back around later on.
Yeah. I want to know what the rules were and what was changed. I ended up with more questions in this page. I was like, what were the rules? What was changed?
Well,
I want to know. Like, I was
I think
too.
activating Benny at that point was the change, because Lancaster interjected himself into the fight by
Got
activating
it.
Benny.
Okay.
So that's
And
the son of a bitch grew to the size of a skyscraper, but I still got him. The way I see it, a bet's a bet. So yeah.
we're gonna get into like why they're pitting these people or these creatures against one another. and what the purpose, like there's a purpose, a greater purpose beyond that, that is going to play into like the main storyline. And they're looking for the best of the best, and not only that, they know that Benny has something that they need. And getting to how he can manipulate that thing that they need is the key to them doing a lot. So and moving on to the next page.
Wait, I think Dennis had something.
I'm sorry.
I just want to say that my favorite panel is actually that top panel in the whole book. I know it's something so, again, very simple, but just the scale. Anything if you do backgrounds, it just spoke to me as far as just the scene as a whole. And you always take it to that word of, as an artist, composition, just that scene as a whole. You didn't even have the full body, just the part with the leg and the arm and the lake compared to it. I mean, that was my favorite panel. It's just something so simple. And you know me in metal, I love drawing metal, but just seeing, Grisha's metal, the little gradients you were using, I was like, look at Dan playing with gradients.
Oh yeah,
Get it, sir.
Oh yeah, I'll show you something I worked on, Dennis. I'll send you some pages of a thing I worked on a couple years ago called 93 AD. It's chock full of gradients. You'll enjoy it. So
yeah, man.
So, and you can see by the third panel on this page, I was drawing pretty loose and fast in this one. I was like, chop, let's get it out of here. So get it on. And this is page 30. This is our last page of the book. So, and he's laying out the plan to Level and what they're going to do to Bigfoot, what they're going to do to Benny upon returning him back to the base. And in panel 3, I think the most important thing is when he says, yes, when the father returns, we'll be prepared. So we still we don't have the answer who that is. I think that the asking the question the first time, when the first time it's mentioned, when the lady in the Unreal says, the father's coming for you. I think that the initial gut reaction is Cthulhu the father? And then we see Grisha, and is Grisha the father? And then we realize that we're nowhere near close to getting that damn answer figured out. So there'll be a lot to answer there. But I think that the last panel with the lady from the Unreal's eyes in the background, kind of, and our bunny pal who's reemerged back in, kind of takes it full circle where we started from. And I really wanted that tie up in this when I was sent the initial notes to Casey. I'm like, it's going to end with that rabbit. That rabbit started the story, and that rabbit's going to end the story.
Well, also the word quiet started the story, and quiet's ending the story.
Yep.
Dan's genius right there.
Say what?
That was Dan's genius right there.
No, dude, really... I just wanted it to wrap up, but but the big thing was that this isn't, we're wrapping it up to a degree, but the last words, what does it say? It begins, and we really start to. Now we can, we've introduced the land, we've introduced the world, we've introduced the players. Now, where do we go with it? And so we know this Benny, we know this Grisha, we have a Cthulhu that may or may not be coming back. We've got, this symbolic bunny who's shown up. We've got this unreal world. We've got this prophet-like lady in this world who is giving up the good knowledge. So it's really, there's a lot happening here, and they're loading up Benny on the stretcher there, taking him away. So this character who was so powerful in his own feet, so to speak, and just knew where he was going and what was going on, is now just, he's susceptible to the situation. He has no control over his situation now. What's going to happen? Where is it going? Who's this dick with the tentacles? There's just a lot going on there. So I hope we've left a lot of open-ended questions that will be not too confusing, but will get people excited for book 2 and
want to read issue 2.
Yeah.
So hopefully we achieve that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I'm like need to know lots of more things.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm halfway through the scripting phase of issue 2.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
Dan's got some stuff he needs to wrap up
Mhm.
with other projects, and then we're right back to one thing about Dan. He moves fast. Oh my gosh, he works really fast on this. So it, like, during our process, it was like almost immediate feedback between, like, me scripting and then him getting the page done. It was really and it was an interesting collaboration, and we're doing things a little bit differently this time around.
Mhm.
In that, by the time he starts, the script will be completed, and we'll knock it around, and I think it'll be a little bit smoother
Yeah.
with issue 2. But it's a blast working with Dan,
No,
because
having
I
a
mean, I'm
blast.
working with my friend, and he's not many people are afforded the opportunity to have such a good rapport with their collaborator on a book like this. So,
Oh, it's been a dream, dude. This has been an absolute dream.
man,
The
I love
collaboration
you.
has been awesome. Yeah, dude,
been
you
fun.
too, man. It's been an absolute blast. I wish you were in Austin, dude, so we can hang out and go get beers and stuff like that.
We're
Kat,
gonna make
Dennis,
it
you too.
happen.
Let's all get wasted.
I was just gonna say
Nice
we're
to
gonna
meet
I
make it
agree.
happen. I've got a show idea planned, and if it works out the way I want to, we're making dreams come true.
Sounds great.
Well,
Sounds great. I'm gonna close this window out, but
Yes. Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Can I just say this has been an honor, a dream come true, and I'm like no bullshit. I'm super excited. Like I said, I had slow moments and then I caught up. And then you guys either confirmed or denied my suspicions with things, and I love it. And it still left me with the, oh my God, thank God there's an issue 2 coming. Because I definitely wanted to I
it's
definitely
been a
need,
blast.
yeah, I
No,
definitely
it's
need more.
yeah.
Dennis, any parting words for us as well?
I just hope that everyone who watches this takes away. There's so much good stuff, so much meat to the bone from this. So much I've learned. I have a page. Well, you can't see it. I literally have a page full of notes. A page full of notes that I've written down. And it just adds so much more flavor to, like, I've done so many fan arts for you, Dan. This
Yeah, you
changes
did
the game.
amazing.
Well, this just changes my whole outlook on what I've done and how much I
Sure.
want to do more, and with a different take and with a different investment in it. But those who are watching this really appreciate this. This is next level stuff, next level shit, I was going to say. The book is next level, and I don't say that fleetingly. I don't say it just to pitch Dan and Casey's work. I'm not that guy. But this is next level. This belongs on a shelf. This belongs in people's collections. This isn't anything. There's no amateur bit about this indie book. And that was my biggest takeaway. Was I put it down, picked it up again, put it down, picked it up again, and just kept saying to myself, this is not an indie book. This is a professional piece of work, belongs on a shelf, and everyone should own this in their collection. And I can't wait to see that happen. I can't see what you two guys do, because there's so much good in this. There's so much page turning where you're like, this character, that character, this line was dropped. What does this mean? It's all cliffhangers and so much good stuff. And you could see the passion you both put into this shows on every page. There's no cheating. There's no little shortcuts. Everything, all your passion shows on the page, and it's more than passion. It's talent. It's hard work. It's everything you can put on a page is in these 32 pages. So well done, guys. Super. Just
I can
totally
co-sign on that,
impressed.
because Dennis and I have read the book more than once, and we were both still finding things the second time around. Third, we were like, what? Yeah. So definitely, it definitely does speak to their talents as well. Any parting words before I close this down, Dan or Casey or Casey?
Man. Well, first of all, thank you both for doing this today. Man, I appreciate it so much. Couldn't think of better people to do this with us. And Dennis, we're going to have to get you on a cover at some point, please. I hope we get to do that with you. Yeah, can't wait to do that with you. And we've got, and Kat, you're just brilliant. I mean, just the two of you, thank you for the insights. Thank you for the time. And, not only, I mean, we've professionally how much I respect both of you guys, but thank you for being a friend. I mean, seriously, this has been very cool. Case, they love you, man. Like seriously, you're
Love
you,
brilliant,
man.
and this has been such a good project. I mean, it was, to work on. The campaign was a lot of fun to do, exhausting, but a blast. Thank you for all 200 and, well, after we had 3 drop-offs, Casey. I don't know if you saw that in the screenshot.
It's gonna
So to the 209 of you that backed Bigfoot Knows Karate, thank you so much. Thank you, both of you. Yeah, and Casey, you were like I'm sorry, Dennis, you were like the number 2 backer. You know that, right? You
was number 2.
You were number 2. You were so close to number 1 on that.
So close.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like
Next
a
time.
running joke about a bunch of us on Instagram. We're all like trying to race to see who's going to get the first backer role. I've never gotten it yet. Yeah, I mean, so to the 290 of y'all who backed the book, thank you so much. For the people who just supported us, with the like, shares, comments, fan art. I'm amazed. We're almost at 70 pieces of fan art with this project. I can't believe it. Kat, thanks for having us on your show the couple times that you did.
Thank you, Kat.
You've got this is great. So thank you to all the readers, and can't wait for issue 2, and I can't wait for the side story too. I mean, I think we mentioned this on the in the closeout video that we did to close out the campaign, but Adam Caswell will be drawing a side story for us. So that'll come out between issue 2 and 3. So we're super excited about the amount of talent he's bringing to the book, and Casey and I are gonna have a lot of fun writing that, and it'll fit within the story. It will be a one shot, so you read it, don't read it, it's not going to matter to the big part, but you're to the greater sum. But at the same time, it's going to give you so much background into the character and the history and where he's, who he is and where he's going. Kids, you ain't seen nothing yet. This is gonna be nuts.
Yeah, it's gonna be
nuts. I mean, the scale, like I said, the scale of this book started small and it worked big. Kids, it's gonna get even bigger than that. So yeah, thank y'all so much. Hey, what do you got, buddy?
Thanks for supporting us and kind of being lighting a fire under our ass. But both of you, Kat and Dennis, both have been instrumental in kind of inspiring us to make the best thing that we could possibly do. So yeah, Dan and I have really enjoyed working on this thing, and just kind of hearing the feedback from people really kind of put things into perspective. Like, oh shit, people are going to buy this. We need to make sure. Like, I need to bring my A game. Like, that's what's gone through my head. And like, nobody wants to write crap or whatever, but when you realize that people are anticipating something, you also want to kind of evaluate, like, am I putting out my best work? Am I pushing it to where it needs to be? And I think that, like, we've really, I really hope you guys like it. And
love it.
You're watching this now. Hopefully that means you've read it already. I hope you were satisfied, and I hope you come back for issue 2. I hope you come back for issue 3. I hope you come back for issue 5. And we're going to have a lot of fun. So hang in there, and can't wait to see you at the end.
And one more thing, thank you to Kenric for sitting in with us early. He had to bail, but yeah, thank you to Kenric. And I think that's all I got. We lost Dennis. Where'd Dennis go? Dennis, like, I'm out. I'm out. All right. Well, sure
everyone, on behalf, thank you, everyone. On behalf of Dennis, Casey, Dan, Kendrick, everyone who backed this, thank you so much. I've been Catherine, aka the High Heel Gamer, and guys, I'll see you for Bigfoot Knows Karate Part 2. Back it, baby. Bye, everyone.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank y'all.